In plotting any course of revenge, one must savor the anticipation phase and all its moments, for the actual execution often differs widely from the original plan. Hasamir Fenring, Dispatches from Arrakis. Welcome back to Dune Saga, everyone. This is Season 4 of our Dune campaign here on the Stolen Fires channel. I'm Eric at Modern Recluse Online, your game master for this epic multi-arc adventure series, which continues tonight with our latest storyline, Judge of the Change. A warm welcome and salutation to new and old viewers alike here to the Stolen Fires channel on Twitch, where there's always an awesome and interesting TTRPG live play to look forward to. Just as a content warning, this program does feature adult situations and language and may not be suitable for all ages, so your discretion is advised. In the way of announcement at the top of our show, we want to bring attention again to the terrible plight facing the Palestinian people in Gaza right now. Leading that effort online is the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, or USCPR. Head on over to USCPR and use your resources there to voice your opinion and contact your representatives and put pressure on the community to get involved and end the U.S. complicity in that oppression. Help to educate, organize, and advocate for Palestinian rights. Again, that's uscpr.org. Music attributions and shout-outs go out to Pixabay, Scott Buckley, Coag Music, Tabletop Audio, Repulsive Sound, and Bleer Moon. You can find more awesome ambient sounds and tunes over at secretpress.bandcamp.com, scottbuckley.com.au, and pixabay.com/music. Many thanks to Modifius Entertainment for making awesome games like Dune Adventures in the Imperium for us to play, and we want to thank the Roll20 virtual platform for hosting games just like this one. And as always, want to give a big thanks to our viewers and fans for tuning in. Our house entourage is here and ready to engage in the deadliest of intrigues. Agents of the Imperium, please tell our audience who you are, where they can find you online, and who you will be playing this evening. Beginning with Leo.
Hello, my name is Leo. You can find me here at Leo of the Black here on Twitch, and today I'll be playing Archie, or Archibald, the new self-proclaimed Emperor of Tupile.
Bold claims, as always. Devin.
Well, that claim is either going to end up as Emperor or Android Bald.
Good point.
But you can find me on, my name's Devin. You can find me online at Sorta Sullied. And tonight I am playing our resident, totally normal Conky Sen.
Moon.
Hello, I'm Khaldun Khalil, also known as Moon. I'll be playing Nadim Harkonnen, a slightly off-kilter Mentat.
And last but not least, of course, Rachel.
Hello, I'm Rachel. I am Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere, but you already knew that because you are here on this channel. And tonight I will be playing Lady Daphne, who is still confused about, like, okay, but why were they attacking us?
Yes, indeed. You'll find out soon enough. And now, first, very short recap from the previous session, if you don't mind doing the duties, Devin.
Certainly. Hajan has been caught out as a face dancer, as Daphne hears breaches elsewhere in the palace. Not Hajan pulls something out and throws it at Daphne. She dodges, but when it breaks, gas begins filling the room. She and Norma struggle against the gas as Not Hajan grabs Daphne, dragging her out of the room as a human shield. Meanwhile, the Sardaukar rally to protect Eloise. Eloise avoids being hit, but Amira goes down, and Eloise's visions let her know that this was targeted. Lady Specher directs her guards to protect the guests, and they obeying by charging the stairs. Archibald now lands his ship, noticing the security lockdown and forces moving to Carthag Palace. On his radio, he hears chatter about the developing situation. He commandeers an ornithopter and heads over. His sudden arrival surprises the other forces on the planet, and the way is paved for him to fly safely towards Carthag. This seems to impress Captain Inessa. When Archibald arrives, he sees attackers taking hostages and immediately moves to stop them. The attackers disperse gas, more gas throughout the palace. Herdy heads up the stairs to try and bring Daphne and Conky out of danger. She moves carefully, coming across an unconscious Amira. Fortunately, her still suit comes with a fitted mask, keeping her safe from the gas. However, she still has to worry about the wires. Moving towards Daphne and Conky, she takes a few pot shots at the attackers, drawing away their fire. Conky has a vision of the navigator, who tells her this is no time for sleeping. Her lungs begin to fill to the air and she slowly comes back to consciousness. She sees Daphne is no longer here, but follows as best she can towards where the guard was heading. As she does this, another group of attackers move into the rooms, gassing the people that were in them, dragging some of them away. One of their first targets is a delegate. Daphne flutters away as Talaxi drags her. She watches as the faces change to reflect those around her. She notices they all have a red, bloody tear tattooed beneath their left eyes, and a bloody handprint somewhere else on their kit. She remembers seeing in her other memory the symbols of House Waku, a long-standing renegade house. She maneuvers herself to force him to pick between pack her up, at which point she whispers to him that kidnapping her will not benefit House Waku. He says he got what he came for anyway and flees. She appears to have not been the target. In the sky, Archibald has to follow or deal with some incoming missiles. They just miss him, spiraling away. The other Thopters follow his lead, one of which barely escapes, getting clipped by the missile. He returns fire, damaging them. Back in the palace, Conky heads to Daphne. She attacks one of the invaders, noticing the same markings that Daphne did. She easily identifies House Waku, then finds the delegates unprotected. The attackers begin retreating. In her sealed storage room, Eloise uses her communet to contact the guild and order the enemy ornithopters tagged and tracked. She also unleashes her Sardaukar protectors, ordering them to move quickly and seize the main landing. They charge forward, skewering the enemy and staining the beautiful white decor with blood. That's when Eloise realizes they have Amira. Outside, Archibald continues his dogfight. He intercepts enemy ornithopters, preventing them from taking off. He fires on one of the escort ships, knocking it out of the sky, but when the ornithopter with Amira takes off, it heads towards the Imperial Basin. Back at the palace, Daphne makes sure Mossam and Beatrice are secure before trying to access her ancestral memory to gain some understanding of what House Waku is doing. Even the Bene Gesserit have forgotten why they were in disgrace. Only the guild have that information. She drags one of the unconscious delegates into the office and tells Conky to rescue the kidnapped one. The Sardaukar, under Eloise's direction, makes short work of the other attackers. She understands how much her mission is in danger and offers to negotiate for the release of the hostages. Elsewhere, Conky moves closer to the Waku soldiers and with her captive and uses the voice to command them to surrender. Instantly, they drop their weapons. And Laura Day. Archibald now chases the last ornithopter into the desert, the one with Amira. They zip through openings and gaps in the shield wall, displaying incredible skill. But the Vanguardian, I don't remember how to say that.
Varangian Guard.
Varangian, God, did not work in my brain. The Varangian Guard is able to track them, even to the Imperial Basin. The Waku ships try to outdistance the Varangians, but Archibald's pilots manage to keep up. The Waku begin to heading to Arsunt. Archibald manages to keep them in sight, but he observes ground forces, armed with rocket launchers, assembling. If he proceeds, civilians will die. Archibald decides to pull back. The danger has passed. The remaining attackers have been rounded up for interrogation, but not even Daphne could get a word out of them. All of them have agreed to have their tongues removed. Nadim emerges then, offering to speak privately. Daphne has captured the Waku and are taken to the dungeons. Oh, and they should patch up that security hole with the dumbwaiter. Obeying her, they discover a dead servant there. Archibald lands and is taken to a secure bunker debriefing room where Daphne and Eloise have also been brought. It's supposed to have been secure and unused for a while, but someone's been here recently. Eloise examines the room, understanding that they targeted Amira and then the delegates. She wonders how the Waku soldiers got in. All of the drama above here was to draw everyone's attention away from this room. As she speaks this, The door's locked behind them. Nadim says someone has clearly been playing games with them, while Norma looks for another way out. She notices a scrap of cloth caught in a piece of sharp metal in the wall. Pulling it, she finds a gap, a secret passage. She further examines the table and finds the hidden bomb, ready to detonate. Everyone moves at speed through the passage and avoids being injured from the ensuing blast. Everyone emerges into the laundry. There is a brief exchange of pleasantries. Mossam enters. Daphne asks Archibald if he knows anything about House Waku. He's not involved in any of this, but Archibald remembers not seeing any House Waku heraldry at his time with the new jihad. Daphne asks Eloise if she might know anything, thanks to the guild's long memory. Eloise arranges to have that information delivered. As a new room is secured, introductions are made all around. Eloise introduces herself to Inessa in particular, then discusses how her current role with Archibald. Meanwhile, Daphne tries to understand how they ended up in a trapped room. Nadim reveals that Waku has now been under a new name, Kinseki. After their exile, they struck a deal with the guild to instead operate as concierges and general staff on the Highliners. However, some number of them ended up on Arrakis, establishing a local power by creating a rival syndicate to the Lupos. It becomes clear that a syndicate war is unfolding on Arrakis and threatening to spill out into other areas, or already has. Nadim talks about his meeting with the representatives of the syndicates. He also mentions his encounter with the hunter seeker that took him captive, and describes how the disruption in familial leadership. He goes on in detail about the intrigue between the two of them, of move and countermove, and how one of Kyra's face dancers was involved. He also knows how to get the captives back, eliminate one of the heads of the syndicate. Inessa suggests they don't even have to kill anyone. Daphne, after all, can use her influence on Kyra's face dancers to pull them back. Eloise accuses Count Fenring of being involved as well. Daphne resents Daphne resents having to expend resources to save Amira, but says Eloise will be compromised, so they might as well. Inessa is disgusted with the level of politicking. There's a bigger danger. Daphne and Eloise are doubtful, but Archie produces Echo. The calculus changes. Eloise promises to arrange an audience. Archibald says he needs House Thorvald. Elsewhere, a helicopter lands at nightfall in the Imperial Basin. A captive is dragged into a safe house. Just before opening the doors, the captive sees a figure looking down on them. A small child wearing a mask, assuring the captive they won't be harmed. They just need cooperation.
Thank you for reading the recap, Devin, and thank you as always to Rachel for taking excellent notes. Continue as the drama unfolds. We're judging the change. We'll begin where we left off at the palace in Carthage. You were all subject to a very big disruption in the day-to-day activities when these people showed up and tried to take captives, presumably from the delegation that the current judge at the change is attempting to try to mediate. One of the reasons she chose Arrakis, and the palace in particular, is because it was fortified. It was recently vacated by the Harkonnens. He thought that with her sponsor house now in control of said palace, that these negotiations would go without a hitch. Clearly, she hasn't spent enough time on Arrakis to realize the danger that she has brought these delegates. When these people struck, they attempted to try to take them hostage, but in doing so, they actually they scurried away with her consort, Amira, who is in the wind. She did manage to contact the guild immediately, and they were able to use the satellites to try to pinpoint where those ornithopters were heading at the time of the assault, or just after the assault. However, the word hasn't been given yet to undertake any sort of action, since she does not have anything beyond the Sardaukar, who are not used predominantly as a police force or any sort of thing like that. They're used to basically guard and protect the Judge of the Change as an honor guard, and just for general warfare. If people need to be removed and killed, that's why they send them in. So to do so would mean incurring or send troops in general would mean potentially endangering the lives of the civilians where the captive is currently being kept in the Imperial Basin near the town of Arsent, and that would not bode well for neither House Cheshire nor House Spiteri, most of you suspect. And so she's had to take a bit of spice to calm her nerves in the light of everything that's happened so far, and to attempt to approach this from a different perspective, as she is very clearly, visibly rattled by everything that just happened. As anyone would be typically when, a bomb is set off in the basement of your palace and nearly kills you and your retinue, or when your lover is kidnapped at gunpoint. So, we'll begin with Daphne, as after everything that has recently occurred is now coming to a head. You still do not know where your security commander is located. And the delegates are all up in arms over what just happened. They're demanding security and safety during the course of these negotiations, and they're doubting House Cheshire's ability to provide that security, that assurance that they were given by the imperially appointed Judge of the Change, who also happens to belong to your vassal house. In light of this what's going on, you also have the Harkonnen guest in the form of Nadim, who recently informed that he was in contact with the very syndicate that descended upon this place to take captives. What to do with this guest of yours, especially as embroiled as they are with the syndicate that is currently at the head of all your troubles? What's the first thing that you do post the explosion in the safe room?
After assuring myself that everyone else is safe, I will go address the nobles and try and calm their nerves. This was a terrible situation. This possibly should have been foreseen. It was not. I did not expect a rogue house to emerge from the sands and try to attack you, and I'm still mostly unclear on who's pulling their strings. It is clear that I'm going to need to do a bit of house cleaning in my own security forces, but that is not your problem, nor will I make it one. Instead, I am going to call upon other allies. You'll be protected by the Feda-Keen.
Oh, really? That's a bold claim. This is going to be a little bit difficult to pull off, just given the circumstances. It would be difficult for the judge to change to say what you just said and make those assurances, but
I'm
but you
totally
as the house
flexing on
guest,
them.
it will come at an added difficulty. So instead of the usual sort of 2 difficulty for a communication test, this will be a 3 difficulty communication test.
Okay. House politics, Fremen, those are focuses that could count?
For communications, you do have a
Those are
reputation
my-
of trust among the Fremen, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm assuming you're going to keep your word and this isn't deceptive in any way, then yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, because my next move is gonna send, like, Hurdy, go tell Zushir I need some of his people.
Go ahead and roll and see what you get. If you can manage to calm their nerves.
Alright, I'm gonna use duty.
While she's doing that, could I tell you what I'm gonna do?
Write it to me in the chat. I want to see what the results are.
Okay.
Alright, so, I'm sorry, to clarify, the focuses that I have in, politics, Canley, Fremen, that's all understand.
Yeah, no, this is a communications test.
Okay. And would body language?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
tell, like, you
I'll
can use
take
that
it.
to your advantage. Like, oh, this person's on edge, so you want to be careful with the choice of words that you use. You
Okay.
have 0 benevolences and momentum at the moment. However, as always, the offer of threat stands. If you wish to buy an extra die or
How
two.
much threat are we at?
Standard. There's 4 players, so there's 8 or 2 apiece.
Okay. I always forget that it's
Yeah.
not 3.
I'll spend another. I'll take a threat to roll another d20.
Sure. 14. You just missed it by 1. You do your best. No, under normal circumstances, you can calm people and make assurances and stuff like that. But Lady Silta, the consort to the head of House Novabrun, is completely incensed. Um, the the Thorvald representative, Laura Day, the Mentat, who is the head of the War Academy, is a little bit more restrained in her outrage. But Lady Silta is like, we were gassed. We could have been killed. They were attempting to take, and she gestures towards, Laura Silta, who's standing in the hall with her and the rest of the guard. They were moments away from kidnapping them from from your palace. Is Arrakis truly as lawless as we've been told? That even the Atreides and the Cheshires cannot maintain control over their own security?
I would say that the laws are different here, and I understand your concern. But I would point out, my lady, you stand in front of me unkidnapped. We were able to thwart them.
You see the Thorvald representative, Laura, the Mentat. She nods and she's like, Her Grace is correct. This could have gone a lot worse considering the circumstances, but nevertheless, we will need assurances going forward. Clearly, Arrakis was a terrible choice for the summit. Where is the Judge of the Change? She asks, not realizing that her consort has been taken.
Does Daphne know that, like, Eloise has, like, taken some spice and checked out?
Maybe not checked out is the right word. She's just trying to calm her nerves, you suspect. But yeah, you probably know that because you were with her in the room when she like started like, okay, I need to take a hit and get out of here.
Okay. She is currently seeing to other arrangements.
Good. You see, Lady Silta say, "It's outrageous." And you see Laura Day just kind of cross her arms and look sideways at Nova Bruns's consort. Just then, somebody approaches you. It looks like to be Hajan's understudy. They found Hajan. He is alive, although he was drugged and gagged in his quarters.
Well,
But
that's
presumably by the
remarkably
face dancer.
merciful of them.
Well, it seems that the face dancer that was sent to here to take his place wasn't here to murder or leave too many big footprints. So it seems that they were under very strict orders when normally they would just kill the person they're going to place and think nothing of it.
Made fine. Head of security
He's still,
nods.
yeah, he's still recovering from the drugs that he was administered. However, where the palace is now secure, and as such, they had stopped a ornithopter coming in from the desert that can take 3 Fremen, one of which said to tell you that they are coming from Zushir. This particular Fremen regards himself as Merlat. They obviously don't know who the hell that is, but they figured like you would know.
Yeah, I believe
They're
I've
currently
met
detained
Merlot
on the yes. You know that they are sort of like a that espionage master of assassins for the Mahdi, as it were, and he's usually found in the company of his other face dancers, which has something to do with what's been going on here, from what you understand.
Yeah.
They've
I'll
been
have
detained,
them.
so it's up to you what you do with them.
There's no need to detain them. Send them down, and then I will send Hurdy back to
Mm-hmm.
Zoshir and just be like, I need to borrow some of your Fedakeen, please.
Okie doke. Like salutes and huddles off to go catch Merlat's ornithopter back to the siege while they send in the 3 face dancers to meet with you, presumably in a more private location. What else is happening here? You see the Sardaukar honor guard calls in or makes contact with somebody else, and you see Masum being rushed from the recesses of the palace, beneath the areas beneath the palace, and being moved into another secure area within the palace itself. Like he has no choice in the matter. Like he's like, let go of me, like, and they're just like kind of ushering him along. Like, no, it's time to go. Not safe here. You're the Emperor's son. Get the fuck out of here.
This place is full of Sardaukar. Why would it not be safe?
Right. Let's see. With that out of the way, do you reconvene with the rest of your retinue somewhere, or do you go to meet with Merlat in private?
I actually do say that to the Sardaukar, trying to make Masum go somewhere he doesn't want to.
They either ignore you or pretend to ignore you.
Alright, can I find out where they're taking him?
Yeah, it looks like they're moving him to the familial wing of the palace, the east wing. More secure. There are like actual shield barriers
Okay.
there. Like they're called prudence door or whatever they're called, prudors, and they basically act like a big shield that you can hide behind.
Alright, in that case, I don't want to expend any more political capital on that. I will just tell Masum that I'll come collect him in a couple hours.
Okay. You kind of like look over and try to establish eye contact with him as they're escorting him out, and you kind of Cheshire eye language, you tell him like, hold still, I'll come get you later, okay?
Yeah, it's just for a few hours.
Yeah. Things are tense around the palace. While your security team are bringing in Zoshir's face dancers, what do you have them do with the rest of your guests and your retainers?
So the guests, the ambassadors, I'm going to have them sent to the nicest part of the palace, or like the most relaxing, like if there's like a water garden or somewhere like that, like move them there, give them some tea and cakes to spice coffee, help them calm their nerves, and then also like have a lot of the guards concentrate there and be very, very visible so they can see, oh, hey, extra security, we're being extra protected. While Eloise goes on her spice trip.
There's nothing so much as a water garden. This was the former Harkonnen residence after all, but there is like a grand hall where Raban used to hold like his, pleasure dalliances or whatever. So there's like grotesque looking statues and stuff cut into the walls and stuff like that. It's not the best place to house them, but it is a lot more secure perhaps, or relaxing than where they were before, in confined quarters, with men, guns running around all over the place and shit.
Oh, I hate this architecture. I was just back in Arakeen. It was so much nicer. We had this whole conservatory. It was great. Alright, yeah, whatever nice place I can put them in. We'll just throw some cloth coverings over the grotesques. Yeah, so we're gonna do that to them, and then to meet Merlat. And I know he's bringing face dancers with him?
Correct.
Alright, in that case I will bring both Conky and Nadim with me.
Alright, excellent. So you gather them with you. Nadim, you're being summoned by the Duchess of Cheshire. You've been through a very interesting last week or so. one of the last things that had occurred was you lost track of your assassin, which usually means that you were compromised. So you went out to find another place within Arakeen to operate from. When a hunter seeker hit you, except that the hunter seeker, usually designed for killing, didn't do what it was normally intended to do. It only just delivered something into your nervous system, something to cause you to black out. When you reawakened, you were met with the child, uh, leader of the Katseki Syndicate, the people that wear the funny looking masks.
Mm.
And this is the one that was being sort of silenced and talked down to when you were originally meeting with the last remaining two heads of the syndicate. And he assured you that, your dog was fine. It was not going to be harmed. However, they had introduced something into your system that, without, their assistance, may lead to fatal outcomes for you. They wanted to make a deal with you. He explained that the person that you met with, the one who he called Hiromi, his mother, was not actually his mother. She was replaced by a disgusting face dancer. In exchange of her being removed from the position, however you managed to do so, he would offer you a position of leadership among the syndicate, something that he knows you have been seeking based on everything, all the little moves that you've been making since you arrived on Arrakis. He knows that your brother has deeper plans than that, but this is a fairly strange child that can sort of see through deceptions. And he assured you that if you were to do this for him, then he would make you the number 2 in the organization, which would of course benefit you and your brother should you choose to go that route. How could you refuse? They gave you back your dog, and just as you were in the process of securing a place to hunker down in the city and retrieve your assassin, you were beset by another complication, this one in the form of a armed escort. And so by the same person who coincidentally was just recently kidnapped by the very same syndicate, and their soldiers. The consort to the judge of the change met you outside of Arakeen and brought you to the palace at the end of a knife. Clearly, they have some designs for you, the Cheshires and the judge of the change in particular. And that's around the time that everything went straight to hell, before they could meet with you in private and explain why they had brought you there. The syndicate soldiers descended on the palace and started to try to take captives. You were lucky that you were not targeted directly, but you see the effects of what they wanted to do, and they at least were somewhat successful in what they set out to do. And now, after that scene, you had been brought to the negotiating table, so to speak, by the Cheshires and their people. You came to find out some interesting things, just as a fly on the wall, and you volunteered what you know, at least about your recent encounters with that same syndicate, and how potentially you and House Cheshire could benefit from the situation, provided, of course, that you're allowed to do what you were originally set out to do. Of course, with these complications mounting as time goes on, time is the one thing that you are running low on at the moment. You've been given the better part of a week to remove this head of the syndicate so that you can be given your antidote. Whether it's a bluff or not, you're not sure, but perhaps they can assist with that. It's up to you what you want to do with that. But you've been summoned now by the Duchess and the others to meet in one of the chambers of the palace to discuss what happens next. How does Nadim carry himself? What does he propose, if anything, under these circumstances?
Well, I'll keep my usual poker face. That's about it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Just listen.
Well, they're the ones who brought me here, so I'm still waiting to hear what exactly they want.
Sure. Archibald.
Yes.
They've sent for you as well. You sent your Varangian guard, so you're basically waiting to hear back from them as you're there with the rest of them in another room within the palace to kind of discuss what to do next. And the reports that you're getting back are pretty much what you expected. The ornithopter that your men destroyed out of thin air resulted in all casualties, no survivors. The people that they recovered seem to match exactly the same ones that you have in captivity. Um, so you have the only leverage you seem to have at the moment against the syndicate is the fact that you have 5 of their soldiers captive. They don't seem to care, though. At least the soldiers don't. That they have been taken captive. It's almost like, yeah, it's what comes with the job, basically. They've had their tongues removed so they don't speak, and it's kind of like a Cosa Nostra thing. Like they don't talk.
Okay.
That's
Is
what you
there
know based on what you have. They seem to be very well conditioned as soldiers go.
is there any sort of like symbols that these soldiers like on their effects? Anything that maybe could
Yeah.
tie them to the Emperor? Like some order
Not to the
like
Emperor
something?
per se,
Or
but
like to
you.
a Sardaukar?
Yeah, I think you were one of the few people that actually recognized the iconography behind House Waku in the form of the bloody tear eye, bloody hand on their armor. It is somewhat reminiscent of the Sardaukar in its style, but are not in any way a house that is still in operation. They are a renegade house, and you remember seeing the symbol as part of the many different houses that have been exiled to Tupile when you were visiting with the Jihad.
Okay.
So the majority of you have been gathered in whatever room Daphne uses within the palace to discuss what exactly is to happen next, as many of the delegates and guests within the house are kind of up in arms, and the current state of the summit for the Judge of the Change is up in the air. They're demanding a new venue, and she is stressed out beyond all belief. She comes in, and you can tell that she's on something, and she sits down at the head of the table, on opposite end of the table from Daphne, and she kind of has her head in her hands, clearly troubled. She turns on the Ixian dampener, and you're off to the races once again.
This is
all gathered
Eloise
together
here?
in this room. Yeah, Eloise.
Okay.
What
Wait,
are we
who's-
going to do now, Daphne? She says.
Who's talking again?
I believe
Eloise.
it's Eloise.
Okay.
All right, so everyone is in the room. Is Merlot here? Has he arrived yet?
He wouldn't be allowed unless you specifically condoned it for it to be so. I mean, with the
No.
recent encounter with the face dancers, like, no way. Or
No,
the Fremen, no.
We're gonna receive him somewhere separate from the ambassadors, give him some
Mhm.
water and refreshments while we discuss this, and then go talk to him.
Okay.
Archibald puts his 2 cents and he's like, we need to restore order first. We need to make them, we need to show that we can keep them safe here.
I have sent to Zoshir to borrow some of his Federkeen, but that's going to take several hours. And I
Yes.
have no idea how many he will send me or even be capable of sending me. I don't know. I don't have anyone to thought.
Oh.
Anyway, if you could lend your Varangian guard, I'm sure Eloise would be quite grateful.
I have already made preparations to do that. They're doing tell the nobles that my Varangian guard, you can even give them acolytes. They're about as even as a Sardaukar. So
Don't tell the Sardaukar that.
well, they don't. It's true. Doesn't matter. But they need to know that they're safe. And I do think my Varangian guard can help with that.
I have no doubt that your guard can assist in establishing security, Uncle. The question now is, what is going to happen with the summit? I chose this place because I thought it was secure. I had no idea we were going to be accosted by a criminal syndicate of all things.
It goes as planned, in my opinion.
Alright. Well, it's time to apply a little deductive reasoning. The Kinseki are the descendants of House Weiku. It is unknown what House Weiku did to get themselves in disgrace, although perhaps the guild might deliver that information at some point. However, the circumstances of their disgrace meant that they became allies, functionaries of the guild. And for some reason, this disgraced house turned criminal syndicate has decided that the biggest threat currently is this summit. Now, I suppose the question to answer, are they working with the support and sanction of the guild, or have they gone rogue for their own reasons?
Elois can take that question. She's like, I'm aware of House Weiku, and although their records were stricken from the histories of the Imperium, the records, as it were, we understand that they have working negotiations with the guild. They have had these negotiations for generations. So the Katseki Syndicate isn't necessarily the descendants of House Weiku. They are what's left of House Weiku. Or at least a branch of the family still exists here on Arrakis as such. The rest of them are scattered across the Imperium, working often on hayliners and ensuring that, the guests are properly cared for from point A to point B. It's a dirty little secret that the guild employs, but nonetheless, it's nothing amount to blackmail, if that's what you're thinking. It's
Well,
like,
my
I will
question
dispense with
is,
this for free.
did the guild contact the Kinseki and say disrupt the summit? If they did so, why? Or did the Kinseki decide to disrupt the summit of their own accord? And again, if so, why?
I don't think this has the guild's fingerprints on it, she says.
May I interject here?
Please, Uncle.
I don't think it was the guild. I think it was the Emperor that did this.
For once, I think we're in agreement.
I think
Normally,
I think that by doing this, he wanted to besmear your name, Eloise. Because if you failed at this, you would look very, very bad. So
the truth is he wins no matter whether I succeed or not.
exactly.
That's the real underlying politics behind all of this, all this pageantry and being chosen as judge of the change. No, I would say that the guild would benefit if the hostilities between House Novabruns and House Thorvald over the mining rights of Odinite III were to continue, because of course they would reap the benefits of having to be able to transport tremendous amount of troops and equipment from point A to point B in the continuance of this conflict. So of course they would benefit under those circumstances, but the guild don't usually think in those terms. This stinks of the Emperor and his friend House Count Fenring.
Yes. The way I see it, like you said, he wins either way. If you do succeed in getting them down, you did your job. But if you fail, your reputation's going to go down and you might even lose your house. Either way, this was a trap set for you, Eloise.
I'm well aware, which is why I need your help. Things are spinning out of control, and I'm on a timetable. I have 2 weeks to bring this conflict to a close. And currently, we're on day 7. And there are still things I have not accounted for, news that I haven't fielded yet from the rest of the Imperium. We still need a neutral place to house the summit. so that we can try to bring this conflict to an end potentially, or just some sort of a cessation of hostilities, at least for the meantime.
I think the
Well,
big
I have a few suggestions.
Please.
Everyone,
here.
everyone is here already. It is marred by an initial attack, but no one of importance was taken.
Excuse me?
No one of political importance was taken. You could, if you like, send a message to Duke Leto asking if this could be moved to Arakeen. Alternatively, Jabberwock.
No. The conditions there are too fraught to bring the delegates to all the way to Jabberwock. If we're here already on Arrakis, Arakeen would make a better location, perhaps. But let's not forget that the Syndicate war that we're currently embroiled in expands beyond those borders, beyond Carthage and Arakeen, and has built into the Imperial Basin itself among those towns. No place on Arrakis, save perhaps for the polar regions where the smugglers' haven resides, is safe in any sense of the word. We also don't know what the Kaseki stand to gain by doing what they did.
We
I don't
do
know what
not
they
know.
plan on doing with Amira.
There are many safe places on Arrakis.
I also
I
have.
suppose the question is, do you think your guests would be comfortable at Siege Tabir?
I
I don't
think
think
that's.
Siege
Sahaya
Tabir would be
Tabir.
comfortable with the delegates.
Or Siege Sahaya Tabir. That's the
Yes.
one.
She seems dubious about, hosting these delicate talks in Fremen territory in the deep desert. Like that
It
is
would.
I think it's a little too soon for that currently.
Oh, well, it would benefit Eloise. All the delegates would be incredibly thrown by the new setting. It would be a demonstration of your influence over the planet. It would be fraught, it would be dangerous. There's no telling when a delegate might take offense to a Fremen spitting at them. Not that I know why that would happen, but stranger things.
I appreciate the thought, Daphne, but unfortunately, I want to put them in a place that is actually familiar to the delegates, instead of putting them in a place that is completely alien in terms of culture. I want to put them in a position, in a place that is familiar to them, and they could be at ease.
Can you commandeer a Highliner?
Now, that is a possibility. The guild is known for their neutrality. I could arrange this, and I can, with my previous history with the guild, fraught as it is, I think I might be able to expedite the creation of such a space, so that we can proceed with the summit.
Then I imagine, would you rather owe a favor to the guild or a favor to Duke Leto?
It doesn't matter. I just want Amira back, and I want this to be over as soon as possible.
I leave the decision to you. You are the judge of the change.
Oh, don't give me that. I'm in no position to govern or make decisions of any kind.
There's also one other
they
thing
knew
we need to
knew what
talk
they were
about.
doing. Sorry, go ahead.
We need to figure out a way to be able to prove that the Emperor had something to do with this. It has to be that way, and I'll tell you why.
That's very gallant of you and very ambitious, Uncle, but proving the Emperor is complicit in a crime is Duke Leto's current purview and not mine.
Yes.
My current agenda, as it were, is to complete the job that has been entrusted to me by the Emperor, and more importantly than that, to retrieve my beloved in the clutches of this criminal organization that is operating apparently with impunity on Arrakis. Now, I can secure a neutral place for the summit on the Hayliner, but I'm going to need help in doing everything else that I've just outlined. Because if it were up to me, I would rain hell itself on whatever comes between me and Amira. To hell with the consequences.
Believe me.
Obviously, cooler
Yeah.
heads will prevail in such a endeavor, which is why I hand that particular detail to you. And she gestures to Daphne and the rest of the.
Which detail was it again? I'm sorry.
Retrieve Amira from harm.
Oh, got ya.
Because if she had her way, she's just going to send us on her car, and everyone in their way is going to get massacred. The end.
I act in your name, dear aunt.
I
She kind of
agree.
like, I'll make the appropriate contacts within the guild. I'll make the arrangements as soon as possible. Perhaps we should meet back here within the next 8 to 12 hours. Does our Harkonnen counterpart here have anything to add to the proceedings?
It sounds like you have everything well in hand. I have nothing to add to you.
She looks to you and studies your body language. Not sure if that was meant as sort of like a snide comment or whatever, but she takes it in stride nonetheless. She gets up and she turns off the Ixian dampener and begins setting off to go to the spaceport, presumably, to go speak with somebody from the guild to secure a Hayliner for this summit within the next 24 hours or so. You are left to your devices. How do you want to proceed?
I've got the meeting with Mirlot.
Mm-hmm. Is anyone, you taking anybody with you?
Conky and Nadim.
Interesting choices. All right, so you're off to go see these representatives from the local Fremen Mahdi. Archibald, you see that this delegation, this group of retainers are getting up and they're leaving to go to the other side of the palace. What are you doing?
Where are they going again?
They're going to meet with representatives from Zoshir. These are the face dancers. Or well, actually, you don't know their face dancers. They're just, she said Fedakeen and Zoshir, so it's like, oh, okay. He sent some like Fremen warriors or whatever.
I am going to split from here. And I am going to try to find a lead on Archibald knows he has to figure out some way to prove that the Emperor was behind this. So
okay. Interesting.
And the closest person to the Emperor right now that's on Arrakis would probably be Liet Kynes? Maybe?
Kynes is the judge of the change for the Harkonnen and the Atreides changing hands on Arrakis. This, not to be confused with Elois, who's the judge of the change for a completely different conflict. She's often on Arrakis, but a very difficult person to get a hold of. In order to get in contact with her, you would have to probably use the Fremen as a go-between, or have an Imperial contact of some kind, very high ranking.
Didn't I get in contact for last season of some sort?
You did. You had a discussion about terraforming planets that interested her. Give me a understand roll. The higher, the more successes you get, the better your result when it comes to trying to find something to tie back to the Emperor.
You said understand roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely justice. 2 dice. Could I use... I could use deductive reasoning, so yeah. Hell yeah.
Deductive reasoning wouldn't help here. This is more of an observational thing, but I'll allow you to use your higher statistic, which I believe is understand over discipline for this sort of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Actually, no. Yeah, so I'll use... Okay. Correct.
One success. This is the barest of details. Did you want to spend or what drive are you using here? This is justice.
I
Do
was
you have a
using
statement?
justice.
You could use your determination point if you wish, or you can buy some threat from me. I'm having a fire sale going on right now.
How
One
much
for
threat
one.
do you have?
I have enough. I have 9 currently.
Not. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll use my 1 determination point. Fuck it.
Okay. In which case you get 3 successes, which are significant details. You go through you have a thought to speak to the security team, and there are comm eyes all over the palace that are constantly recording what's going on. So they put you in front of the console, you start working the controls, and Inessa just kind of sits back and watches you work, intrigued. You fast forward and reverse through the recent footage, and you see, yeah, there's a whole commotion going on at the top part of the palace, at the top of the landing of the stairwells, and there's fighting and stuff like that. Something that you weren't privy to because you were up in the air at the time engaging hostile ornithopters. But when you look into other areas of the palace, the comm eyes reveal Mossam and Beatrice in the med bay, and somebody was in that bunker room, that safe room that you were in previously before it exploded. Presumably your saboteur was there. When you continue to watch them go from one area of the under part of the palace and out into the tunnels that go out into the rest of Carthag, you realize that whoever they are, they're pretty short and they have a very nice looking cloak that obscures their face completely. They appear to have some sort of a Ixian mask that would also probably disguise their voice if you were to hear it.
Okay.
But whoever they are, they stalked that area of the palace like a panther. You don't even know how they got there, because there are no comm eyes in the panic room. You just saw them sort of emerge prior to the Daphne and everybody moving down there, and before the explosion went off, of course.
Okay. So, do I see them actually do anything significant? Like you said that there were consoles in that panic room. So, was he doing anything? Was he
He
or
set up the
doing
bomb,
anything?
whoever they are. Yeah, they were the obvious saboteur. You suspect, judging by your deductive reasoning, that they got there using the secret passage that you guys found in the laundry area, just outside of the kitchen, a level right above the panic room, which
Okay.
is consequently what you used to escape the bomb that they placed in that same chamber. You narrowly escaped it, rather. This is what
So,
you're able to find out. The Elois kind of elaborated at the time that she had contacted the guild, and it seemed that somebody from House Fenring was on Arrakis around the time of the summit. And based on the previous idea, the Emperor purposely gave this to me to fail, and based on the fact that she believes that the entire point of all of this was to delay the summit and make things worse. It does start to add up, as far as that's concerned. This is very minimal evidence as far as that's concerned. However, you take a tour down into the tunnels, or you send your team or whatever, and the only thing that they're able to recover is a dead guard that was presumably killed expertly by whichever saboteur this was that came down here and just made their way down into the depths of the palace. More than perhaps they were even responsible for the dead maid they found in the dumbwaiter, although that could also be attributed to the Tlailaktu face dancer that disappeared without a trace. Tlailaktu face dancers, by the way, very expensive to hire. So somebody with great amount of wealth would have had to, be able to secure one for such a endeavor.
So could I potentially maybe put my tracking hat on here and try to track some footsteps?
Once you enter the tunnels, game over. There's no way to actually track this guy. This guy's a ghost, whoever he was, a professional saboteur or assassin.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to look up who's all on Arrakis that are close to the Fenring family. that are on Arrakis that they would have some sort of contact with?
Oh, I'll give you that one for free. Because Count Fenring was acting sort of governor of Arrakis during the Harkonnen era, he got in good with a lot of the local, like, wealthy merchants and families, as it were. And as you're kind of like asking around and doing your detective work for the remainder of the day, this is what you're able to find out, that he was also very comfortable in dealing and hosting people from the criminal underworld, such as the leaders of the syndicates, both Lupos and uh, Katseki. Moving on to the next scene, with Daphne and Nadim and Konki. You're meeting with three Fremen inside of this room. I'm going to say that Norma goes in very subtly at first, and then does like a face dancer check, like she typically does, and confirms that there are three face dancers in the room. She does this just to you through eye language, so nobody else currently here understands what you're communicating back and forth with one another. But she does confirm that one of them is Merlot.
I'll communicate back as expected.
She'll lead you in, of course, as your handmaiden. Waiting there in this foyer, this office, are three Fremen warriors. Nadim, an important detail for you. You were stripped of your weapons when you were captured by the Katseki Syndicate to undergo your mission for them, but presumably they would have given you your Chris knife back. Are you wearing your Chris knife openly, like on your belt?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. So as soon as you walk in, two of the Fremen warriors put their hands on their hilt and they move to try to, like, relieve you of it. Merlat, holds up his hand and barely is able to keep them from taking your water here and now. Daphne, how do you react?
Is this a culture thing that I'm unaware of?
That is a Harkonnen with a Chris knife attached to his hip.
I received it in a way acceptable to your people.
They just stare at you. Explain.
This last owner obviously has no more need of it.
I think they're going to want a few more details than that.
You see Merlat says something in the Tleilaxu language, which you kind of actually understand, Nadim. He tells them, like, all right, enough. I think you've played your parts very well, he says to the two Fremen, and they kind of restrain themselves and back off. He leans in close to you and says, whatever this person is to you, do not bring them to any sietch or any place where there are actual Fremen present, lest they take his water along with his Chris knife. Do you understand?
So noted.
We came as soon as we heard, Your Grace. The Mahdi sends his regards. He wishes to provide security for the summit, which is, unfortunately, we have arrived too late to provide such security. Nevertheless, he does require your aid, as currently the Fremen are undergoing a bit of a political revolution.
Tell him that I would be happy to accept his help. However, the location of the summit is being moved to a highliner, and I know how Fremen are about leaving Arrakis. My uncle is providing Varangian guard. If he really does want to help, perhaps an escort to the spaceport?
That can be arranged, certainly. We have the Thopters available to do so, and we can stock them with our finest warriors to ensure that no one will come to harm. However, the Sheer requires your expertise in these sort of outframe matters. He's not trained in political understanding, but you clearly understand. You clearly have expertise in this sort of thing. Um, to say any more would compromise his trust, and so at your earliest convenience, Ashir will want to meet with you and your retainers to go over the finer points of this social revolution that is taking place right now.
I'm of course glad to help.
In the meantime, we simply came to deliver this information. If you have any need of us here while we're in Carthage, we will of course dispense ourselves to you and your house.
Yes, so apparently the face dancers were among the people who attacked us. That's why I've brought Nadim here. I thought we were going to discuss that. Kairos
He seems
face
surprised.
dancers. Kairos face dancers. Have they gone rogue at all? Do we have a
No.
good accounting of where they're positioned?
I know where my
embedded?
people are at all times. I can tell you that two of them have been attached to a very sensitive operation in Arakeen and Carthage, respectively, but none of them were given an order to attack for any reason. I think if something like that would have occurred, we would have sent word ahead of time to perhaps prepare you for some sort of violence. I assure you that this face dancer was not one of ours.
Alright, well, apparently there's the Kinseki Consortium having its own problem with face dancers.
They are aware, then, that they've been infiltrated.
Well, this is what I've brought Nadim here for. This is... take it away, Mr. Harkonnen.
Yes, they are aware they've been infiltrated and have been implementing countermeasures as best they can.
And these countermeasures, do any of them look like you?
Well, not me specifically, but certainly I had some thoughts
Please share them with us.
of how to counter your infiltration of the syndicate.
No, you seem to be the one who's advising the syndicates, yes? Or in league with them to some extent.
Well, they have their uses, and so do I. I'm not quite sure what our relationship is that I would be helping you in any particular way. Perhaps
You're aware
Maybe.
that the Harkonnens had and perhaps still maintain a comfortable relationship with these syndicates. There are things that we've learned by infiltrating these syndicates, you see. And we have something to gain from them as well. So perhaps we are at an impasse. And we have to make a decision as to how we're going to proceed in this relationship.
Well, certainly you have me at a disadvantage. I'm not quite sure why you do not serve the Benny Talax.
We have our reasons.
You are rogue Talaxu or face dancers.
You can say that, yes?
Well, that's rather interesting. I did not think that was possible. My understanding was that face dancer conditioning wasn't something that could be undone.
You would be forgiven for thinking that.
Well, it's certainly what the whispers say, but I suspect these are whispers that come from the Beni Talaxu themselves. Is this a process that perhaps you could help free other face dancers? Say those that we discover within the syndicate that are not part of your group, that seem to have been part of the attack on Lady Daphne's holdings?
In theory, perhaps. But like I said previously, the face dancers that have infiltrated these two syndicates belong to us and they are accounted for. The ones who attacked this palace did not come from us.
Is it possible that some of your brethren have become lost in their part?
Very unlikely.
Your two Fremen brothers were quite upset at my Chris Nice, despite the fact that they are no more Fremen than I am.
This is true. It is possible for a face dancer to lose themselves in the part that they play. However, this is exceedingly rare, and we, my brethren and I, are joined by religious purpose that far exceeds the conditioning that the Silexu put into us.
Well, that is an interesting wrinkle. Well, I have no particular interest in aligning myself with a syndicate that is actually controlled by the Benny Talax. So, if Lady Daphne trusts that you are not working in their stead, are working against the Benny Talax, then I'd be happy to help weed any loyal face dancers out of the syndicate and put them in your care. Perhaps you can show them the light of your religion.
That might be a little more difficult than it was before Amira came to Arrakis.
It's like we can relieve the syndicate of these face dancers ourselves. They still take orders. If they do not heed my orders, then yes, then your talents will perhaps be utilized to great effect. However, the consequences of pulling them out of such a position would impact not only our standing and the Fremen's, perhaps House Cheshire itself. And he kind of like very subtly communicates that this is a criminal syndicate, so they traffic in all manner of things. Spikes, weapons, vehicles, personnel, intelligence. And they have people all over the planet.
What was Akira's intention in putting the face dancers where she did?
He hesitates to say anything more because there is a Harkonnen present. He just kind of looks, he looks like he's going to speak, and then he looks at Nadim and he looks back to you and he's like, are you comfortable with the ears in this room being privy to such sensitive details?
I trust we are able to communicate, the two of us, as best we can.
Well then, I go by your leave. Kyra was fully intent on building a power base here on Arrakis. And to do this, she utilized a sect of us that are loyal to her and to the prophecies that she foretold. If it wasn't for William, your former spy master, who revealed that the future for face dancers such as ourselves is possible, that the ability to have children and foster an entire society is possible. If it wasn't for that, we would still be under Tleilaxu control. And we would never have taken up the blade in Kyra's name. But because she sought to create a power base here, in the promise of prophecy to destabilize the Empire, to change things and change the course of humanity, to allow us to have our own society in the future, we did as she bade us to do. And we infiltrated these organizations to facilitate those prophecies. Do you understand?
I do.
So essentially, it is rumored, for those of you who know, like Nadim, face dancers cannot have children, ever. They are products of the Tleilaxu, expendable products, which is why people buy them, they send them to their deaths, and they don't care. William was a former spy master to House Cheshire. He saw that Kyra was a Kwisatz Haderach in her own right, and her prophecies foretold that one day the Tleilaxu face dancers would be able to break away from their masters and build a society for themselves. And when this revelation came onto them, he convinced his other fellow face dancers that acted as his agents to form a sect around this Kwisatz Haderach, this Bene Gesserit, Kwisatz mother, you know. And as such, they carried out her will, which is to help to create this uh, underlying base of power for her to, engage in the manipulation of the Imperium, which, unbeknownst to some of you, had something to do with the schism that she created within the Bene Gesserit, which has since been resolved. That was just part of the whole thing. Yeah,
Has it? I mean, Norma and I is still
He
running
planted
around.
the seeds, she's just...
Norma and I is still running around.
Yeah.
The golden path.
The golden path, indeed. So yeah, he explains this at length, to you all, and that so they forsook the prophet that the Selaxu conditioned them to believe in, and instead they have this new messiah, Kyra, and her golden path, for lack of a better term.
Alright, so Daphne was like, oh, okay, she gave the Tlilaxu something that they wanted, and so then the Tlilax became a resource for her to use to accomplish her goals.
Correct.
And now we're here.
Merlot is saying that the two face dancers that were employed for both syndicates to replace the leadership there, he says he can pull them back, but by doing so, they diminish the Fremen and potentially House Cheshire in that way, because now, you're without those resources, without that intelligence. You don't have those ears and eyes in different places.
I do not want them pulled back because it's clear that there's another faction of face dancers operating in House Weiku, Kinseki, something.
You want us to find this Slilaxu face dancer that almost abducted you, is what you're wanting us to do.
Find him and
then... who hired him, basically, who sent them.
Yes, the one who replaced Hajan. If he wasn't one of your people, he's working for someone else, and I would like to know who.
And so you sent a face stealer to find another face stealer. This is sound logic, from a particular perspective.
Well, I was told that one of the leaders of the syndicate, Harami, I believe was the
Hiromi,
name.
yeah.
Hiromi is a face dancer.
This is correct. One of ours.
One of yours. Well, they've been exposed. So it is known within the Conchi syndicate that this operative works for you, and their murder is actively being planned.
I see. Well, we can recall them, and we can eliminate that as a consequence. Of course, that will be at our loss.
Yes, or we could allow.
Loss if she dies.
Well, no, actually, it could be more of a gain if she dies.
Or we could just play shuffleboard.
I don't spend lives that way.
If we play shuffleboard, then they stay in the syndicate. Somebody else dies, we just provide the corpse.
Exactly.
I'm more in favor of shuffleboard.
Well, I think Conky is exactly correct. We produce a body, and then your face dancer simply takes on a new face within the organization.
But
I
if we
tried
fake
that once before, and it didn't turn out the way I expected.
If we produce a fake corpse for the Kaseki leadership, then who is to take their place? I mean, the way that we have our process is such that we will replace the person we are impersonating, meaning Hiromi Weiku is already dead.
Correct.
So if we vacate that position, that will only leave one person in charge of the Kiseki leadership. Her son.
Oh my goodness.
Get that name real quick.
Our new face dancer.
How old is the son?
He's very young, he says. His name is Hizun Weiku. And he is, and when Merlat says that, you immediately recall your meeting with that very, young, he couldn't be more older than like 10 or 12 years old. There's something odd about this child, the way that he conducts himself in a very adult manner. Very serious, very menacing.
I think the mistake is to replace the direct leaders. I think you'd be better placed replacing key positions. This is why Harami was discovered. Because their every move is being scrutinized by the entire organization.
Indeed, our plan was to eventually phase the entire leadership out from both syndicates so we could control them completely. We didn't get that far, clearly.
Yes, I think there's some practicalities in that strategy that would not serve us or you best.
I may agree with this assessment. What would you have me do?
Well, we could simply eliminate Harami in a way that would leave few remains.
Merlat is not opposed to killing people, but he, of course, has to deign to the Duchess of the House to undertake such an order or suggestion. We all think we know how that response is going to go.
Well, no, it's fine.
Oh.
Ornithopter crashes usually don't leave many remains.
Oh, you wish
or
to
lasgun.
Yeah.
Well, plus, they don't actually have to be alive when we kill them.
We're not killing anybody.
Correct.
We're faking a death.
Like I said, they don't have to be alive to kill them. A corpse is a corpse is a corpse.
It's like we can arrange this. Just give us about 24 hours to make the arrangements to get the message through, and we'll remove Hiromi Weiku, as it were, from the syndicate leadership, as you wish. Was there anything else that you require of us in the meantime?
Extract Hiromi, do the kabuki about her death. I suppose then we would have to transition another agent in. The face dancers who attacked today did not kill Hajan. I would like to return the favor.
Find the rogue Tleilaxu face dancer, find out who employed them to attack. Very well. That will take a considerable amount of time to do, as you're probably well aware. Even so, the guild has temporarily suspended flights in and out of Arrakis. So there are incredible delays taking place at the spaceport, and all port of calls, really, with the exception of the smugglers, so perhaps we shall begin there. We will have them in hand before a week's end, I would suspect. If we are to contribute the majority of our resources to doing so, that is. In which case, we will not be able to assist you with anything else that you may require in the meantime.
I think that is enough to ask of you. Let Zoshir know that I will visit him as soon as I can get away.
It'll be done. They kind of curtsy and dismiss themselves from the room. You're left to your devices. Is there anything that any one of you to volunteer to the rest of you? Within 24 hours, Hiromi is going to be removed. And assuming that the syndicate keeps their end of the bargain, Nadim, they will provide you the antidote.
Yes.
Is there any way that Archie could contact the syndicate themselves?
That's very difficult. As you may recall, Varys was in the process of doing just that. And they were going to take like the next 2 days to do it. So probably sometime tomorrow, he'll back from him with a report like, "Hey, I did the thing, but where are we at with that?"
Now we have to tell like, yeah, we
kind of jumped the gun already on it.
So?
He's probably going to be very worried, obviously hearing about the attack on the palace and such. So,
No, I'm talking about like
Mhm.
setting up a meeting between Archie and the syndicate themselves.
Which one? The one in Carthage or the one in Arakeen?
Which one did all of this?
Katseki, the Blood
Katseki.
Syndicate.
Okay. That was the one that this little major the house that
Wakefield.
Count Fenring. Yeah. Kanseki is the one that they're close with, correct?
Yeah, they basically did favors for the guild as a renegade house to not be completely exiled to the two pile. One branch of the family ended up here on Arrakis, and they established themselves as a syndicate, as a criminal syndicate. And they have been here for generations.
And then the ones from Arakeen, where are like
That's the Lupo Syndicate or the Wolf
Lupos.
Syndicate.
Don't
Wolf
they
Pack.
hate each other currently?
They do. Well, they're rivals. They're currently in a syndicate war, so yeah, they're not friendly with one another currently.
Okay. I'm seeing this as an opportunity.
Is that an opportunity you want to share with the rest of the group, perhaps?
Maybe. I would actually like to maybe talk with, because honestly, if I really think about it, their rival would be watching them like a hawk.
Correct.
So I would actually want to make a meeting with maybe the Lupo Syndicate, so that way I can. There you go. That's what I'm gonna do.
That'll be spicy.
Got it. Nah, I was like,
How do you
what I want to do here?
How do you propose to set up a meeting with a criminal syndicate in Arakeen?
I guess
Are you gonna try to talk your way in? Are you gonna try to like I don't know, bribe your way through, or how is it that you want to plan on doing that?
You want a suggestion from me?
Sure.
Varys.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, was Varys. You beat me to it. Yeah, I would probably work with Varys on this to get a meeting with the Loop.
You get the communicate information from the security team because they're in constant contact with the retinue here on Carthage. So you get through to his communinet, and he's like, "Who's this?"
It's Archibald.
Oh,
Long time no see.
why are you Archibald?
Why are what?
Why are you? Why are you contacting me on this channel?
The Lupo Syndicate.
What about them? You need them?
No, I don't need them. I just need to talk with them.
You don't just talk to the Lupo Syndicate, Archibald. What do you want?
I need you to set up a meeting between me and the Lupo Syndicate.
Right, for what purpose? They're currently in a war.
Yeah, exactly. Which means they are going to have the number one. They're going to have eyeballs on the other syndicate over in Carthage. They're going to have spies. They're going to have all.
Yeah, I'm kind of working on that at the moment. It's very fraught. Are you sure you're up for this?
Yes. Right now, I'm in the.
They're not going to want to meet with you unless they know who you are. And to everyone, if you ask the average person on Arrakis, they're not going to know who you are, and the ones that do already think you're dead.
Of course. But I'm sure that.
So what are you bringing to their table exactly?
What is it that they would want? You've talked with them.
What do all criminals want? Money and power.
Fame, power.
You have some of a little bit of that, I believe.
I do. Also, maybe have a deal for him as well. You could probably end up in their favor if, especially with the tides of, I guess, fate turning as we speak.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a communications roll. The better you do, the better the result of your meeting with the Lupo Syndicate is going to be. I can't wait to see what the results of this is going to look like.
I'm not
Communication is
really
like your not your
okay.
best stat. He'll throw you a bone. I'll tell you. He'll throw you a bone and try to put in a good word. This is Varys we're talking about. He's a slick bastard, but let's see.
Focus. I can use my focus here, can't I?
Like,
I'm not really being deceitful though. I do have a thing for it.
hmm.
No.
Doing all the weirdest
2
things with love
successes.
here.
Yes.
So 1 dice.
Actually, that's 3
He is
successes.
deceitful. Are you trying to like be deceitful, or is this
No,
like
I'm
a
not.
legitimate?
I'm
Okay, so no
legit.
deceit necessary.
Yeah, that's
He
3
does not.
because
He's not able to, do you any favors when it comes to setting up a meeting. He got 2 successes. You said.
3 because I got my communicates a 6 and I got a 5.
But you have a like diplomacy or something, and or negotiation as part of your communication focus.
Nope, I have deceit. That's it.
But you're not trying to be deceitful, correct?
Not really, no. But I think I
Okay.
should try to be deceitful if it gives me that 3rd success.
Hmm. The problem is if you're deceitful and they find you out, you're dead meat.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's a headache.
A legitimate arms deal or something like that? Or is that what you're offering, or what is it you're bringing to the table, so to speak?
I am going to offer maybe a way to get rid of the syndicate in Carthag.
Oh, this will be good. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you're like, hey, I'm a big shot general. I got people behind me, and I could use them to wipe out your competition. So Varys puts in the word. We'll say about 6 to 8 hours later, you get a ring back on your communinet. Hey, get on the ornithopter. Meet me in Arakeen Spaceport. I'll take you where you got.
Okay.
You land, and he tells you like not a word of this to Daphne or anyone else. Do you understand?
Obviously.
You arrive. He meets with you, and he gets you into a ground car. And this is just you and him. It's not like Inessa and your Varangian guard. He basically tells you need to come alone for this.
Obviously.
So he meets with you, and he has like a mask on and stuff like that. Gets you into the ground car, and they drive you into this darkened area of Arakeen. And they get out, and or you arrive at this place, and just then the doors like kind of fly open. He gets out calmly, and a couple of guys throw a bag over your head. Press a Mala pistol into the small of your back, and you just hear Varys say, "Just stay calm."
Right.
And they drag you into some place, some lightless fucking place, probably underground, judging by the shift in the barometric pressure a little bit. And eventually they sit you down into a chair. They pull the hood off of your face, and you see standing there is what is unmistakably an elder-looking Fremen with like a tattoo on his face, and he's holding a gun to your face.
Oh.
Now then, General Archibald, I believe I've been told that you have something to offer my organization. Pray that you are not wasting my time, or else I will waste your life here and now and take your water for myself. And that's where we'll stop. We'll be back in 10 minutes. There are a 10-minute break. The time is now 9:42. 10:42 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back in 10 minutes, everybody. and we have returned from our break. Last we left General Archibald in the clutches of the Lupos or Wolfpack syndicate in Arakeen, presumably brought there by Varys, whom he contacted in confidence that they would be able to make some sort of a deal with the leadership of this syndicate, this criminal group. Unfortunately, perhaps General Archibald overstepped his boundaries, as he's now facing down the barrel of a Maul pistol to the Fremen leader that's standing before him with a tattooed face and blue eyes. His lieutenant is, of course, ready to pull the trigger at the slightest, nuance or motion from the leader, who is sort of enshrouded in shadows in this seemingly underground chamber that they have you in. Almost smells like and sounds like a cistern, like there's rushing water nearby. And you're just kind of like disoriented by the whole experience. But this isn't your first rodeo, so you can potentially keep your cool here and perhaps prevail in what you were attempting to achieve. Some sort of a deal with this criminal group. And he's like, well, General Archibald of the Cheshire House.
Formerly the Cheshire.
Formerly? We have something in common then, he says.
Are you Cheshire as well?
No, I am no outframe.
Okay.
He's like, you come here because you want something. I suspect it's some sort of, it's retaliatory in nature. You want to retaliate against the Katseki Syndicate for what they did to your house. Is this the correct assumption?
Yeah. There's also some other things that I would like to discuss with you as well.
Speak. My time is limited.
Thing is I know that the Emperor had something to do with this attack.
I don't care about the Emperor or his Sardaukar.
Okay. You told me what I wanted. You asked me what I wanted. And the thing is the Kanseki were the ones that attacked.
Correct. What does this have to do with me? And more importantly, what does this have to do with the Emperor?
You are rivals with the Kanseki. You guys watch the Kanseki like hawks, just because you guys are rivals. And then there seems to be a house that's allied with the Emperor there, that's very close with them. And I think they orchestrated the whole attack on the castle. House Fennering. And they're also close with the Emperor, and I want proof that they did this.
Well, I think you perhaps have come to the wrong place, General Archibald. You come seeking justice where there is none. This is Arrakis.
Of course.
If you have a problem with the Emperor and his allies, then I suggest you take it up with them. We personally do not have any issue with the Imperial House. We could care less. We have what we want here. We are not in any... we're not threatened by the Emperor and his agenda, certainly. So if your business is with them, then perhaps you may be wasting our time. And you see here the guy like cock the barrel of the gun and gets a bead on your head.
Because I feel like I can make this deal lucrative for you, or at least help you. I know you guys have been having trouble with the Fremen.
He laughs. We have problems with the Fremen. Elaborate. What do you know of this?
I know that sometimes they just get in the way and they mess all your operations up as well. Maybe I could alleviate that problem just a little bit.
Now you have his attention. You are proposing to do something about the Fremen. Be specific. What are you proposing exactly in exchange for this blackmail? you want on the Emperor?
You see, Lady Daphne is the husband to the
Wife.
sorry,
Technically
wife,
betrothed.
You feel
betrothed.
Varys's hand on your shoulder, and it's like, I think what my associate is trying, or what this man is trying to say, is that he is seeking uh, something to use against the Emperor and his allies, and in exchange, he's wanting to, well, alleviate some of the pressure that the Fremen are bringing to you and your organization. Is that? He kind of looks down at you. Like, did I get it right?
Yes, you obviously House Cheshire and the Fremen are very close.
You wish to drive a wedge between them.
No, not Cheshire and Fremen.
Oh, you just wish to harm the Fremen then?
Why would that harm the Fremen? All it'll do is
It is known that the Cheshires are close with the Fremen people.
correct.
You're suggesting that you do something against the Fremen,
No,
which is refreshing. Refreshing honesty from an Outframe, I have to say.
I am not.
What is it that you're proposing, General?
I'm proposing that I talk to House Cheshire,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe she can put in a word into the leader of the Fremen, so that way your operations don't get disrupted anymore.
That's a very peaceful, even subtle, tactic for a man of war. You're a very unusual man.
Yeah, well, violence right now is not warranted. It caused more damage than good right now, especially
I
with
would.
what's on the horizon. And I look
I'm
into
not
his
so
eyes and
sure.
I say, and you have no idea what's coming.
Is that a threat?
No, not at all, actually.
Well, I see that we have somewhat differing opinions on the nature of violence. Violence is a means to an end, a finality of hostilities. After all, you cannot have a conflict with someone if you remove them from existence, can you?
You're not wrong, but I also think controlled violence is more powerful.
I think I agree with this position. Controlled violence against the Fremen, I would support it, he says.
No, not against them. But, like I said, my
Nice.
resolution is peaceful.
I'm somewhat disappointed, but amused. And I will consider what you're proposing. But what do we get in response? Well, you say that you can alleviate the pressure that the Fremen exert over us, but in fact, we do business with everyone, including the Fremen. However, I will consider your proposition if you can provide me information regarding the Fremen Mahdi and their allies. Would you be able to provide this information for me? You feel Varys's hand kind of like tightening a little around your shoulder. How do you respond?
If it compromises House Cheshire, then I will not do it.
I'm not interested in House Cheshire, Alfred. We're interested in the Fremen. And their Mahdi.
What do you plan on doing with that information?
Give me understand using your deductive reasoning focus. The more the better. 2 at the minimum, because you don't understand Fremen culture like at all. You just understand it at its most basic level. That's a 3. You're going to get a point of momentum for that.
Hell yeah.
And you can spend that momentum to gain additional information if you wish.
Fuck it,
Otherwise, okay. What would you like to ask me?
Well, what about the initial question first?
Well, you have one question that you can ask me that I'll
Okay.
have to answer truthfully. But in your effort to like understand who this guy is, he is Fremen. That much is for sure. He has a crysknife. He's got blue within blue eyes. He's got the nose filters, the whole, and like these intricate looking tattoos across his face. But the way that he's referring to the Fremen is not the same way you would expect typical Fremen to invoke them. He almost says it with revile in his voice. Like he hates the Fremen, and yet he is one. Go ahead and ask your question.
Is he going to use the information that I potentially give him to harm the Fremen in any way?
No. Is he, despite him being an extremely violent person, and being who he is, he nonetheless will keep his word if he says that he's going to use the information in whatever means you propose. So, like, if you agree to give him information about the Mahdi, his whereabouts, where his allies are, that sort of thing, and under the condition that he doesn't bring personal harm to him or his allies, then he'll keep his word. And he's like, I will adhere to your our deal, as it were, Outframe, in the traditional way. Our waters will mingle, he says, and he brings out his crysknife. He gets real close to you, grabs your hand, and he slices it open. You feel your warm blood spill out of your hand and down your sleeve. Do you react?
No, I show no weakness in this situation.
Okay. You show good discipline as he, slices his own hand and he clasps yours. It's like, very well, General. You have something to offer me, and I have something to offer you as well. What is it that you want to achieve by employing our syndicate, as it is? You want something on the Emperor and his allies? Who specifically? Correct. The Emperor has many allies throughout the Imperium.
Specifically, Count Fenring and the relationship between the syndicate. I want proof.
We know of the Count, yes. We've done business with him in the past.
I want proof of the Emperor's orders to attack the Count.
That is unfortunately something I cannot provide you, because he did not employ us in the attack. I suspect, however, that he did so with the Kaseki syndicate in mind. We can provide you a liaison for the Count here on Arrakis. He has a nice little manor on the northern part of Arrakeen. We can acquire him for you, bring him to wherever it is that you want us to bring him to in your quest for justice, he says,
I agree.
almost derisively. However, if you break our accord, he says, please understand that House Cheshire and the Fremen will come to great violence over this.
Yes, it's a risk.
If you or any of your allies dare raise a hand against the Lupus organization, then this bond that we have created tonight will be over, and you will be hunted down. You will not be able to set foot on Arrakis without us knowing of your existence.
Okay. Understood.
Good, he says. And kind of like, he does something very uncharacteristic, like he just wipes his hand of the blood and like puts the crysknife away, like without tending to like the moisture at all or anything like that. And then he kind of like motions to his guards, who immediately proceed to put a bag over your head unless you resist.
Nope.
Okay.
I made it out alive. That's all that matters.
A little worse for wear, perhaps, but yes,
Oh, yeah.
You are dumped out of a ground car in the middle of the street somewhere on Arrakeen at night. cool, crisp air outside. They drop you and Varys off. You're on the floor, and Varys is standing there. He takes the hood off of your head, and he's like, "Well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I have
man. Looks
something to
like
report now to Daphne. Not sure she's
so.
gonna love it, but
I tell him, I'm like, well, it looks like you got some convincing to do there, boyfriend.
no, that's all entirely on you, my friend. I just provide
it?
the information. Here, let me help you up." He says he grabs a hold of you, hoists you up. He's like, "Let's get back to Carthage before it
I'm
gets
sure
really
you
dark."
could help out just a.
Yeah, follow me. You don't want to be here after dark. Water thieves. He says he just like helps you navigate through the streets until you get back to the ornithopter pad and then take that back to the palace. In the meantime, we have a couple of hours before night falls in Carthage. We can say like everything that happens that just happened after the fact. We can continue with our house retinue at the Palace of Carthage as the day is waning on. Archibald disappears at some point. He leaves Inessa and his Varangian guard behind, and so Inessa's a little bit lost as to where to go. So they seek you out for your guidance instead, Daphne, and the rest of your retainers for guidance.
He frequently does this. He is
Oh, who
very
does he?
good at.
Mm.
He is very good at keeping his own counsel.
Yes, I've come to the realization of that. I have met his ex-wife, as it were. Or is it his current wife? I'm sure it was officiated.
Oh, well, I know they're legally married. I don't know if they've ever been legally divorced, although he did abandon her.
Mm.
But she was pregnant, so maybe he thought he was doing her a favor.
Well, perhaps so then, yes. Well, I will be, myself and the Varangian Guard will be at your disposal. I suppose they're going to be needed for this summit. I am on official business here to try to bring to light things that have been occurring on Two-Pile to the Landsrad. I am, of course, unfamiliar with the processes of navigating such a Byzantine organization, as we have been exiled for millennia. I trust that perhaps you and these Atreides might be helpful to that end.
What is the nature of your business here? What are you seeking?
We are attempting to try to bring information to the Landsrat that there's a great danger coming on the horizon for the Imperium, and it is coming from Two-Pile, and not from us and the renegade houses that reside there. There's a greater danger thinking machines. It may have been touched upon earlier, but the threat is real. We have seen it with our own eyes.
What are you hoping to accomplish on Arrakis to this end?
We are seeking to try to, well, this was the first stopping point on the way to Kaitane, which I believe is still where the Imperial seat is located.
You're correct.
We wish to, I suppose the correct term is to create a motion before the Landsrat and the High Council. We're unfamiliar with these ancient procedures and need guidance to that effect.
Well, I could happily teach you how.
The first person that comes to mind is actually Leto for the simple reason that...
Yeah, the light bulb goes on. Oh, you probably want to speak with Duke Leto Atreides.
Is he here on Arrakis, this Atreides?
He is. Custody of this planet and its spice has recently shifted from House Harkonnen to House Atreides. They've just arrived here a few weeks ago. Duke Leto is incredibly charismatic and well regarded by the majority of the Landsrad. I would not say that his family is pious, but they're certainly no heretics. They'll take the threat of thinking machines very seriously.
Good. Then I will speak with this Duke if he will have our audience.
I will see what I can do to arrange an audience.
Thank you, Your Grace. And she takes her leave with the Varangian guard. What are the rest of you doing now for the rest of the day in the Carthag Palace or in Carthag in general? Given
Well, so
what you know.
just to clarify, so Daphne is going to like send a message through proper channels. She's not gonna mark it as urgent or anything. Just like, hey, when you have the time, I have someone who probably wants to meet with you. And like essentially like, hey, when can I get an appointment with the Duke?
Sure. For a friend, yeah, they'll say, send him first thing tomorrow morning, and the Duke will hold court in the palace and receive them, see what they want.
All right, so I'll convey that to Anessa, and then Daphne will look at her schedule and like, huh. All right, I only have a couple hours to get to Zoshir, so let's go fire up the ornithop and go do that.
Okay. Go about your business. Norma, are you accompanying the Duchess to the siege, or are you staying behind to do other skullduggery?
Do you want me to accompany you?
I think you're better suited staying here, keeping an eye on Nadim.
Okay, Nadim? Okay, I was actually gonna... Okay, then I can make this a two-parter then. So, for my remainder of the day, I was figuring to do two things then. One, as Duchess asked of me, I'm going to keep an eye on Nadim, but I'm going to do it with the pretext of I am keeping an eye on Beatrice. Because of all of the statements of her suddenly having the eye language in her head, we don't know about Golas yet, but it's suspicious that a person who has not got any memories and was only born a few months ago is able to know an eye language masterfully.
It's technically a small stipulation, but she's not a Gola. She's just a clone, whereas the Gola is specific to like, oh, it's a dead body. We're gonna make a clone out of it.
No. The Gola is actually what it's called after it regains the memories, I thought.
That is specific to Golas. I don't know if the big question mark is it also relegated to just clones of people?
We'll just go with the fact of we actually don't know about the Gola clone or the Gola memory thing at all at this point in timeline. So I'm just keeping an eye on her because, yeah, she's still a clone. She's still a clone of somebody who very nearly murdered.
That's
Daphne.
Alaxu made her.
And yeah, also
exactly
Archibald. And no matter how much good he does, he still has his sore spot in Norma's brain. So yeah, I'll be watching Beatrice I'll be observing Beatrice and keeping an eye on Nadim then.
All right. So you're staying where you're shadowing them around. Nadim, what do you do with the remainder of your day at the Carthag Palace? Are you sort of just biding your time until the results come in after the Face Lancers do their thing and remove Hiromi from leadership, or do you have other machinations in play?
Well, if I can give these people the slip, I'll try to contact or find my assassin. If I can't give them the slip, then I'll stare blankly at a wall doing mentat things.
Very appropriate. This is going to have to be a communications test, and this is going to be contested against Norma, presumably, if you're closely watching, like through a comm eye or something like that, or discipline observation versus your communication and any sort of deceit or anything that would be classified as such for subtle communications. I don't think communications is your strong point. In which case, if you have something under understand, like espionage or something like that, or under discipline, I will allow that as a focus for the role.
I do have espionage as a focus.
Okay, so when you roll communication, you use when it asks you if you want to employ a focus, you say yes. As normal, you're going to roll 2 dice, Nadim, unless you want to give me some threat and gain some additional dice. 1 for the first, 2 for the second, and so on.
No, that's okay. No, I don't.
Alright.
Problem.
1 success. Well, go ahead and roll your discipline. Oh, Jesus.
So that's
There's a
3,
complication.
that's the 3. The 20 was the drop.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 3 total, period.
3 total.
So that means you get 2 momentum. Okay, interesting.
I wasn't sure momentum was going to get generated from this because it was player
Yeah.
on player.
Yeah. Although it could accelerate things depending on how it goes. So you got 2 momentum. You easily spot Nadim trying to utilize like some clandestine methods of contact. It looks like he's trying to make contact with somebody in Arakeen, potentially, where he was possibly based out of. Do you let the message go through, or do you capture it, or do you try to subvert it and turn it back on him, or how do you want to proceed?
Well, like I said I sent you the side message saying I actively was trying to like hang out with Beatrice. Because as Daphne said, she's a member of the house now, treat her like family, so I was gonna try and be nice and not observe at a distance and separate her from everyone. I was going to actively be a part. So I won't be the one to follow the message, but I will send some trusted security force over to try and trail them, see what happens.
It seems like they're pretty quiet about their methods, but it looks like whoever it is that they're contacting, some sort of an asset, like some shadowy Harkonnen goon that belongs to the spy master.
Okay.
I'm assuming you let him continue with his communication. You find out everything, all the specific details.
Oh yeah.
Aside from anything outside of like Harkonnen battle code that is like embedded in the message, in which case you would take time to kind of decrypt that.
Well, that depends on how much Harkonnen DNA I've got in my other memory. I might be able to decode that pretty quickly. But yeah, that's the baseline idea. Know what the message says. Right. Let it be sent. Let Nadim think that he got away with it.
You receive a confirmation from your assassin, Nadim. He explains in the most basics of terms that he was caught and then released.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to do anything else, I'm assuming you're just kind of like staring at the wall and like making calculations in your brain until you're summoned from, or you are brought out from your guest quarters.
Right. So I'm basically waiting for the syndicate to I'm basically waiting for the face dancers to fake the death.
Sure. That'll take place in the next day. So for the evening, we'll finish off the evening with a scene between Archibald and Beatrice as he returns back with Varys, who will immediately depart and go to Daphne. Well, try to find Daphne and find her not there because she's already flown to be with Zoshir at the siege. And then so we'll continue. Well, he's coming back early, it seems. So you find Beatrice with Conky, of all people, in the confines of the med bay beneath the palace. The guards point you the way, or at least sorry, you said Inessa. I'm sorry. You pass by them and you go to find Inessa. She's in the guest quarters. You find her room easily because the Varangian guard are set up as a cordon outside. So they let you through, and you see Yanessa is like in the process of like winding down for the evening and like taking a rest. To be clear, you probably have like separate rooms like adjoining to one another.
Right.
So you catch her like by surprise when you use the palm reader, and the door opens up with a chime, and she's like, "Well, you've returned. That was fast."
Wanted to apologize. Felt a little rude leaving you here by yourself, especially with...
No apologies needed. I had the opportunity to speak with the Duchess, and she's agreed to have me speak or have an audience, establish some sort of an audience with the Duke of Atreides. Apparently, he has some business with the Landsrat soon, and that is precisely where we need to go to make our case, to perform, to
100%. I agree.
create emotion within the High Council, for the High Council to take action. The question still remains, however, what are we going to present them with in terms of proof? They're going to want some kind of proof. We brought what we could with us in the form of Echo and, the integratedness of his body. But do you think that will be sufficient to convince the Landsrat, or if I recall correctly, 2/3 of the Landsrat, to affirm some sort of a resolution, a motion to move on this impending danger that we're facing?
Well, considering that he's a full-on android, I would say that would be a step in the right direction, wouldn't you say?
That's actually an interesting thought, because he is fully integrated, and you de-integrated him from Allfather's network, and he seems to have like cognizance of some kind, but whether or not he's actually like fully human is questionable. There's still parts of him that are obviously human, but like his brain and stuff like that have been replaced, and now he's a little lost, but he still retains some semblance of identity. So there's a little bit of ambiguity in terms of like, is this still a human, or is this a cyborg effectively? And how will they
Summon the box
receive
of pain.
right? And how would they receive someone like that on the level of the Landsrad? Uh,
Well, out of character, would the box of paint? I was thinking about that last night. Would the box of paint actually work in this
the
situation?
box of pain is like a nerve
Is that-
inducted thing, a test.
Well, yeah. If you don't have
Bene
nerves,
Gesserit.
though, like
Right. He would,
That's what I'm
I guess,
saying.
pass because he will not experience pain. How integrated he's become
so, wouldn't that be proof?
by the Bene Gesserit's measure, that means perhaps that he is not human, because even the most ardent of humans that can withstand tremendous amounts of pain are still at the end of the day humans, and they have to relent under the excruciating pain. But Echo does not have those proclivities because he's been so fully integrated. He's more machine than man.
Exactly my point, though. Like, wouldn't that be? Couldn't that sway the Landsrad?
It might scare them, is what Inessa is suggesting. The question is, of course, will it sway them? But she's looking at it more like, is it going to scare them more than anything else? And is that the right response? Is that the response you want from the Landsrat? Do you want them to be afraid, or do you want them to be convinced that this is something they have to take a stand on? Is it both the same thing, or two different things entirely?
No, we don't need fear. Fear causes irrational decisions in this situation. They'll just throw nukes at it. That's exactly.
Anessa is of a divided mind in that, but she relays to you that, well, regardless of what the results is, we need something concrete to present to the Landsrat. Do you think Echo would be enough of that, or do you think we need more?
Do you think we could activate? Do you think we could activate Echo to the Allfather again?
That is why would you even consider something like that? You would not only be putting their life in danger, but ours as well.
Yeah, but that would also give them the proof they need that, I guess, a little bit of both. It would be fear and proof that these machines are legitly back.
That is a very dangerous and reckless action you're proposing, Archibald.
Can you
For
think
once,
of
she doesn't
anything
call
other?
you General. She's like, you're proposing connect. Like, I don't even know if it would work. Does Allfather's network extend that far? Does his reach go that far into the Imperium? Is there something you're not telling me?
Would I know that from my time with him?
No, you didn't spend enough time with him to learn all of his secrets. He did give you the option, though.
Yeah.
I mean, also, Archie,
Yeah.
you're suggesting maybe I do a heresy in the middle of the Lance Rod.
Yes. But what other option do I have?
I'm pretty sure that Daphne's all heresied out after, the past,
Dang, it's
everything.
Maybe I poop on the Senate floor to prove we have a problem with municipal sewage.
Okay.
I
fine.
mean, he would get the point across, perhaps.
It would. Just saying.
Oh,
Then
So,
you will have
I-
done a heresy.
I would say I would like to talk to House Cheshire about this. Maybe they have some sort of idea that we can deploy.
I'm more inclined to speak with the Atreides, since they
Oh,
apparently have
100%.
great sway in the Landsred already, and that's
We will.
precisely where the Duke is headed. I'm not sure why, but perhaps we can
will.
learn together. Would you be
Agreed.
willing to accompany me to Kaitane on this? Or are your familial responsibilities going to curtail such an action?
Not at all. I will accompany you with this.
Very well, then. I am going to prepare myself for some rest. It's been a very eventful last few days.
Agreed.
We shall...
I'm sure we'll have a family meeting at one point.
I'm certain we shall, and I hope that
A lot
you'll
of this-
accompany me when I go to meet with this Duke tomorrow. Early in the morning, as I understand.
A lot of this will come out during that meeting.
Well then, good night, Archibald.
Good night. And walk away.
Moving on to Siege Sahaya Tabir, an ornithopter flies in quietly at night and descends into the darkness and disappears within through an opening in the ceiling of the cave. It disembarks. You disembark from the vehicle, Daphne, and you're received by Merlot's people and ushered immediately to Zoshir's quarters. He is just awakening when you arrive. It's like, Duchess, can I help you? You've received my message, I trust?
Of course. It's good to see you.
Always. I heard from Merlot that you came under threat of harm. I'm sorry that I was not able to get my warriors there faster to protect you and your people. I will endeavor to be swifter in the future.
Oh, we were able to repel the attack. The only casualty was Amira. So
Amira
the theme of DC
is dead?
Kidnapped.
I see.
They're in on
That is
it,
regrettable.
but sometimes
If you need my assistance or that of
jokes are
my
terrible.
Vidaken, then I will, of course, afford you whatever you need.
Oh, don't spend your Fidaken on Amira's behalf.
Yeah.
But I thought that perhaps they could escort, be part of an entourage. There was a summit that my aunt was arranging. It was going to happen in Carthage. It's now going to happen on the Highliner. There will be some sort of procession from Carthage to the spaceport. If you wanted to provide a few Fedaykin, just simply to be seen.
They will be there by the dawn, certainly. Whatever you
But-
require.
I'm told you also have questions, difficulties, issues?
An ever-growing list of them, yes, he says. And, he kind of, stands up and he walks over and kind of leans on the wall and he's like, "I'm troubled, Daphne. This, he's like the weight of prophecy and leadership are becoming impossible to weigh at this point." He's like,
Don't think about prophecy. Prophecy is a tool.
it is the word, and it is the word I have to live by now.
It is, but if Kyra made any mistake, it was that she let prescience overwhelm her and dictate too much of her life. And prophecy is the same way. It's better to focus on the here and the now. What is the problem facing your people right now, and how can we fix it?
Division. The
No, I have no.
some
I'm
of the
actually doing
tribes
mine
are
for 2 years.
unconvinced.
Yeah, okay.
They're in open
I
revolt
was playing
in many
the-
cases against my leadership of the each one Bedouin.
What is
The
their
tribes
objection?
that Harkonnen would lead them. Someone of Harkonnen lineage. I revealed to them at the convocation that this was my genetic fate, but it is not. I
Oh, right.
also
yeah.
explained that despite that my legacy lies in these outframe, that my spiritual
right, she
fate
stole
lies with
away.
that of Shai-Hulud,
And I was
Fremen
like-
people here on
I was so
Arrakis.
bitter for a week on that.
And that is the main difference between someone like myself and any other Harkonnen that can be found in the Imperium.
You are not
I'm
Harkonnen.
not bitter at you.
You are not raised on Gedi Prime. You have
Correct.
never seen the Baron. You were not given a Harkonnen education. Your DNA might have, at some point, have originated from Gedi Prime, but
Was the idea.
you are Fremen. This is the path you have chosen to be Fremen. Although that might not convince the tribes in rebellion.
I suspect that it won't. Merlat suggests that I need some sort of assistance in understanding how to navigate these the politics of the Fremen tribes themselves and the intricacies of these
Is
of
it
these new
known
problems that have arisen.
Right, if you show up.
how much do the others know about your participation in the razzia?
No other customers.
It is well known that I participated in the razzia. It is one of the reasons why they championed me at the convocation of Naibs, because we were able to come away with that with tremendous amounts of wealth taken from the coffers of the and the Harkonnens.
You stole from the Harkonnen. You injured the Harkonnen. You did this to benefit the Fremen.
Right, no.
There are still things about
Only a month after I started this game, I started
me as my D that is troubling. I don't recall if I told you, but at the last Tau, I saw an apparition of my departed parents, and
That must have been nice.
I wish I could tell you that it was. It was pleasant on some level to see them again, but they wished for me to. They attempted to allow me permission to release any sort of vengeance that I held in my heart for the people who took their lives, the Adwali. I have spared them in the past, but they were emphatic that freedom for the Fremen people on Arrakis is impingent on working with the Adwali, in accepting them as allies.
Mhm.
But something like this among the Fremen, among our people, is
Okay.
beyond the
I
pale.
have
It
to
is
back, and
the
this
height
is
of heresy
brainstorm.
to associate oneself with water
Now,
stealers,
oh,
such as them.
and
They were
two
responsible for the
lesser
death of
items.
my
Now,
siege,
you had a character named
and yet my
Dune,
parents
M2,
and
an
their
alien
shades
scout. An alien
told me
scout that
that
would come to protect Earth.
I would need them if I were to succeed as their leader, to unite the Fremen tribes. How can one achieve something like this with such an ancient and avowed enemy as the Adwali?
An NPC,
And how can
I
I make the others accept that such an alliance is even possible?
I'm experiencing something of the same myself. After the spice agony, I see the futility of an eye for an eye and a life for a life.
Hmm.
It's been a surprising amount of pushback when you decide there are ways to solve problems without murder.
Violence
What
is
I
an
will...
inescapable part of our lives, is it not?
It is a cycle that one can choose to break, and I am choosing to break it as much as I can. And I think that you choosing to break it on behalf of the Adwali is a good thing.
I hear your words, but I don't know if I can do this alone, he says.
Of course you're not going to do it alone. Look, the tribes who disagree, who don't like this Adwali, or who doubt you as a Harkonnen, as a person, you can't argue with results.
Yeah, Tide Pods were a thing.
So, is there another target, another razzia, another thing that can be done? You bring your people, accomplish whatever objective is needed, and you use that to prove to anyone who doubts that no matter who you are Zushir Tamer and you are worthy to lead.
It's
And
like
that
normally
even if they don't understand why you are making these choices, particularly about the Adwali, they will come to trust you that you know what you're doing.
With the Harkonnen gone from Arrakis, I'm not sure there are many targets that we can focus on. He says that, and you're thinking of like the Razia, and then you remember there's actually a planned raid on Gidi Prime by the Atreides.
Well, what if you struck at the heart of your quote-unquote patrimony?
What do you mean? Strike at the Harkonnens? They're no longer here. They're on their own world.
They're
Yes?
on Gidi Prime, where currently the Atreides plan to steal even more spice from them. Right from under their noses. It would be dangerous. It would almost certainly result in casualties. There would be even more logistics for having Fremen there. Although I suppose, given the Harkonnen history of this planet, blue eyes would not be uncommon. Might even be able to disguise me as a noble.
He almost like laughs at the thought of him like wearing outframed noble gear on a different planet other than Arrakis. He's like, I see what you're saying. No Fremen has ever attempted this. To my knowledge, none of us have ever left Arrakis not to engage in direct warfare with our oppressors. He mulls it over. He's like, I will think on this, and I will consult with Merlat, but yes, I think that may be a way to gain their trust, perhaps.
It would, possibly, quite likely, draw attention to this planet. Make sure you're ready for that.
For retaliation.
For the rest of the Imperium to look at the Fremen and see something other than savages living in the desert.
Okay, so summarize what we left.
A great responsibility. I'm not sure if I'm up to the task.
I think you are.
He seems like he's very doubtful of himself, and to hear him talk about it, he looks and feels like he's alone in all of this. Like he's like adrift, you know.
Daphne's like, I'm right here. I'm here to help you.
He's like, thank you, Daphne. I appreciate your words and your counsel. He says, and he takes your hand, and he's like, I will put this to Merlat and see what logistically we can do about coinciding in this razzia with the Atreides. We already have contacts with their people. We could probably set something up within the week to discuss these plans. Thank you. And he's like, yeah, you came all this way to travel here. I apologize for being a bad host. You're free to stay, of course. And he motions to, like, you know, the cot in the room and stuff. He's like, you know, you're welcome to stay, of course.
I'll spend a few hours here with you before coming back.
Okay, well, he summons one of his people, and they make spiced coffee, and you have like a pleasant little back and forth within the confines of its chambers.
Yeah, we'll spend some quality time together, and then
Sure.
Daphne's like, I gotta go meet with the Atreides on spiced coffee and no sleep.
Yeah, you're wired on the red eye back to Carthag.
A spiced coffee in front of Bindu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're gonna advance time a little bit here and move on to the next day. In the morning, Inessa goes with her entourage to the Arakim Palace. Nadim, you are contacted by your assassin, and he has your antidote awaiting for you within the city, as the fake body has been disposed of out in the desert on some, you know, expedient ornithopter they can do away with. Obscure death for Hiromi Waku. Now that the face dancer's back in Merlat's palm, what are your next moves? I'm assuming you retain your assassin and you retrieve the antidote for yourself, Nadim.
Yes, that's my main move. Is to get the antidote in my hands, as it were.
Once you have that, you're essentially free. You're looking at your freedom right in your hands. I'm assuming that Conky is still kind of shadowing Nadim. Okay. What do you do with this freedom now that you have it?
Well, I mean, not really. I'd be more free if I did take the antidote, in actuality. If I take the antidote, then, you know, I'm back to the things I have to do otherwise. So, in a sense, I'll be just drinking my responsibilities back, as opposed to just letting the poison take me. So I drink the antidote.
You take a side, you quaff it, and like you feel it working. You're actually wondering if there was ever any poison to begin with at all, but you quaff it anyway.
Well, yes. I mean, hopefully this is actually the poison.
What do you do once you do that? You've had a long couple of days to kind of like experience life on Arrakis, and you know, you've come across like one thing after another. Where does that leave you in terms of like what your actual responsibilities are? Are you going to continue to try to appease your brother, or are you going to try to exert your control over these syndicates as you had originally planned, or is there something else that the Harkonnen spymaster wants to accomplish while he's here?
Well, I mean, now that this face dancer has been removed as part of the agreement, then the rest of the agreement, and it's not just the antidote, but also my new role within the syndicate itself.
Hmm.
That is where I'll be, because it would be suspicious if I did not take him up on the deal. If I was like, "Oh, thanks for the antidote. I
Sure.
killed that guy and all that." So that is what I'll do. I will take up my role as the number 2 person in the syndicate
Oh, very good.
and continue to help them remove face dancers from amidst their ranks.
Now, this puts you in a very interesting position because once you take the antidote, you're in. And the assassin tells you, he's like, they gave me this, and they said that after you take it, I could lead you back to them and present you with a mask that is your officiating regalia within the organization.
My goodness. Bad enough they poisoned me. Now they
He
expect
seems
me to wear a
confused,
mask.
and then he gets it. He's like, ah.
Well, I mean, if indignities will never cease, I guess this is the least of them.
The least of your dignities, right? He leads you to the place where you had originally met with Hiromi, who's no longer there, of course, and instead you're met with Hizun, the small child with the penetrating gaze and the scary-looking mask. Oh, you've returned to us. Good. Here's your mask.
Oh, it's an honor.
I'm sure. He's like, what is your first request now that you are part of our council?
Well, I think the best idea is to continue to pursue our original plan of securing the organization from internal threats.
Do you still believe that we have been infiltrated beyond the one who claimed to be my mother?
I'm not sure, but how else could we be sure?
That is an interesting question. I put it to you.
Well, then I'll have some thinking to do. But as far as what I wish to do with the organization, then it's no different than what we've been doing in the past. I wish to smuggle spice and make money. I think that's agreeable to you as well.
It's a byproduct of what we are, yes.
Yes.
It will be granted to you as such.
And if circumstances permit, if we can embarrass or inconvenience the Atreides, would that be remiss?
No, we don't enjoy a relationship with the Atreides.
Well then, I'll certainly not. I'll do my best not to put any heat on the organization, and that any blame goes elsewhere. The Atreides have many enemies, including my own family.
Mm-hmm.
I assume they shall get most of the blame, which
Most definitely.
may upset my brother on some level, but well,
Acceptable
something
losses.
can't be helped.
Doing business, he says.
Indeed.
Go ahead and add a new asset to your sheet. You can label it whatever you want, really. It's essentially your headquarters now. You have a pad, so to speak. The guy who's been relieved of his assets are now your assets. So you have essentially Hiromi's little mansion or whatever, a place to call your home, whatever you envision that to be, in Carthag.
Alrighty.
And it comes with the usual sort of amenities, secret passages, and caches of weapons and stuff like that would be afforded to like a head of a syndicate. You in addition to this position that you have now within the group, come with responsibilities, obviously, but in addition to that, you have a particular kind of leverage that you didn't enjoy before. previously you were the guest of the Cheshires, but as you understand, the the Katseki Syndicate has in their possession the consort, a judge of the change, in their possession. Something that you could alleviate quite easily by simply recalling those who are keeping her under duress. Is that something that you want to employ as a tactic with your newfound playmates in Carthage, or is that something that you want to put in your back pocket for now?
Well, that sounds like something I'll have to discuss with Lady Daphne. I mean, I know what she has said publicly,
Mm-hmm.
but I shall speak to her privately and see what she would truly like to happen.
That sounds intriguing.
We all know that answer.
I think I would like to see that scene, if just for a moment. Back at the palace. Now that everybody's more or less on the same page, um, you receive word upon returning. I mean, you return back that same evening. Daphne and Varys is already in bed and asleep. So you kind of slip in and you wake up the next morning, and you receive word that a Hayliner has been secured as the summit, the new location for this diplomatic summit that is to take place today. So there's a lot of hustle bustle going on at the palace right now with the delegates going to the spaceport, which is up until this point been halted for any sort of like traffic back and forth. So there's a tremendous amount of traffic going in and out of the palace and in the city in general. Um, do you call for a house meeting in any way?
Is this before me and Senna, or
Uh, I do not know that there is a need for a house meeting at this point.
Okay. Do you meet with Elois in the morning when you awaken, as everybody's kind of like arriving at different times?
Yeah, I will touch base with Eloise and let her know that Safeda Keen are going to be arriving. They're going to be escorting the delegates from here to the spaceport.
Yeah. She appears like a traffic cop, trying to direct like the entire Imperium at the same time. So she's like, "Oh, okay, good, thanks, okay, bye." She keeps on going. It's like she's got a million things running through her head right now. It's just like, "Okay, good, thanks."
Right. This is her show now. I've done
Yeah.
the part I said I was gonna do.
It's her donkey rodeo. Okay. Archibald, you awaken in the morning and you accompany Anessa first thing at first light to Arakeen to meet with the Duke, and they have a
Right.
delegation brought out a small delegation to receive you and to bring you in. You're going to be waiting there for probably the better part of an hour or two until the Duke and his family come down to see what's the matter, like who are you and why do you want to meet with him. He remembers you from before when you went to visit him in Caladan.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, I remember this guy. Yes, I'll go see him immediately." He at the time, if you recall, he wanted to secure the votes for the resolution he wanted to put against the Emperor. So he was petitioning a lot of his allies, like, "Hey, are you going to back me in the Landsred when I make my move?" So yeah, the doors open and the Duke steps in with some of his retainers. It's like, "General Archibald."
I assume Daphne has come along with this because like she's the one who's like, I'm making the appointment in my name.
You could if you
Could I
wanted to. You don't have
actually-
to.
before, like on the way there, could I have a scene with both Daphne and Anessa?
Sure, we'll say that it happens at the palace before you depart to the Arakeen Palace.
Okay. So I'm gonna put my Ixian dampener on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, I have a plan for this that could benefit House Cheshire and Tupile in general.
Listening?
Me and Eloise have been in talks. You know, all of you know that Varys has been to Tupile. Apparently, Varys has told Eloise about some of the stuff there. She had a little bit of an inkling that something like this was happening.
Something like this? Do you mean the heresy, the thinking machines?
She couldn't say for sure, but she heard the rumors, and she wanted to know for sure. Same with me. I did too. Everyone's saying that there wasn't a reason for it. Yes, there was. Me and Eloise were working on this ahead of time. I did plan to go to Tupile to investigate this. It would look good on you, Daphne, if I included you in this plan as well and say that you agreed with the plan.
What's the plan?
No, agreed with the fact with me going to Two Pile to figure out me going to Two Pile to figure out if machines were really back.
I thought you were gonna go to the Lands Red. I thought you were gonna go to the kite scene.
I
They are.
will.
But
Oh, I see.
isn't the Atreides kind of the doorstep? So wouldn't we have to do that there too, and the Landsrod, or is that not true? Either
The
way,
reason that you're going to the Atreides is because the Duke is already entering a resolution into the Landsrat. Like he's going to be going to Kaitane soon, to basically put the Emperor on trial.
oh, okay.
Right.
But
So if
but
you
wouldn't
could ride the wave, so to speak,
So,
and use him as a.
honestly, he knew about heresy and was complicit in it is a lot more damning than he did a thing with the gang on Arrakis.
guy? Okay. Well, that's what. Well, no, that's what I was kind of thinking. In like, okay. Well, either way, even though he's going to basically replace Emperor Stamm, correct? At one point, wouldn't we still
gonna
want to employ that
try.
plan? Well, wouldn't you still want to employ that plan to House Atreides at this point?
Are you asking this in or out of character?
Out of character.
I was ask in character.
Okay. I guess. I guess my question is, if we did this plan, would it be a better idea to present it to the Atreides or to the Landsraad themselves?
I think no matter what we do, it's a good idea to get Duke Leto on our side, or position ourselves to be on his side. He commands tremendous influence within the Landsraad.
Yeah. I guess you're correct.
Daphne confirms your initial suspicions that this was the right course of action. The Duke specifically is, like, the right person to back or to get their backing, with something like what you want to present to the Landsrat. So you're on the right path, at least, and this is confirmed from Daphne herself.
Gotcha.
So you have this little meeting, and then you go off just to meet with the Duke himself.
Well, is
Ellis
anything
is
more
running around.
that Archie wants to bring up? Because
Oh,
Was there something else?
just giving Leo space.
so Daphne.
Oh, right.
There's also another thing that I did that may have solved the problem, but also may have not really created a problem, but more of an adjustment, I guess you should say.
Oh, have you actually solved the problem for me, Uncle?
A little bit, yeah, I'd say so.
I'm all ears.
So, you see, I did some investigating on the syndicate, and my hunch was, and I'm pretty sure my hunch is correct that the Emperor had something to do with the attack on the castle.
He almost certainly did.
So I investigated.
All right.
Yep. I went to the the syndicate, and the syndicate and Arakeen are arch rivals who want no more than the arch rivals of each other, I guess you should say that.
You met with the Lupo Syndicate,
Yeah, thank
specifically
you.
in Arakeen.
So I met with the Lupo Syndicate.
I see, rivals of the Kinseki.
Yep. And I made a deal. So
Tell me the
they're willing to bring Count Fenring in.
All right.
In exchange, they're having trouble with the Fremen. All you have to do is take the pressure off a little bit. Make sure after
One small clarification. They didn't promise the Count, they promised his agent on Arrakis, his envoy, as it were. Because all the houses have like little embassies and little home away from homes. He's basically giving you like the Count's contact in his summer home, his timeshare on Arrakis or whatever.
Gotcha.
So that's what he's promising you, essentially. A stepping stone to the Count himself.
Gotcha. Basically, stepping stone to the Count himself. in this
All
term.
right. And what does he want in exchange?
To take the pressure off of them from the Fremen. I'm not saying he doesn't. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that they have to. I'm just saying if they have operations in effect, just
Or the
go that
Fremen to
way.
look the other way?
Yes.
The Fremen aren't law enforcement on Arrakis. That's House Atreides.
Yeah, but it was specifically the Fremen. From what I
He
was.
wanted specific information about the Fremen.
Oh, got
Like,
that.
remember, he said that they trade with everybody, including the Fremen.
Yeah.
But he just wants information about the Fremen and their current state, and he understands that they have a new mod.
Gotcha.
So any information that they could provide, you could provide them, would be appreciated.
Correct. That. My brain is half dead. I'm sorry.
You're
Coming
fine.
out
All
the
right,
way.
so-
Go ahead.
You don't hold anything back from Daphne about what Eric just said.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, Eric. Have I learned enough to ask, to justify asking, hey, was this guy a Dwali?
Yeah.
Okay. The friend you met, was he a Dwali?
Out of character, would I know what that is?
Probably not.
Probably not. A Dwali?
They're a counterfaction of Fremen. He
Okay.
had the eyes and the sunburnt skin and the look of someone who spent their entire life dehydrated, right?
So, well, I can tell you aspects of the man. He had tattoos, I believe, all over his face. Within blue eyes.
The tattoos don't necessarily give him away as a Dwali. It's how he presented himself,
Yeah.
what he did with the moisture, how he spoke with venom in his voice
Right.
for the Fremen general and stuff.
He
Mahdi,
definitely-
you know, like, yeah.
From what I take, he's not very fond of the Fremen just in general.
But he looked like a Fremen and he spoke like one.
Yes. Yes, and he also cut his hand. And
You show her your recent
Yeah, I
wound
show her
on your
the
hand.
scar.
You know what that means.
Ah, well, this changes the calculus dramatically.
Yeah.
Alright, so you met with this man who wants information on the Mahdi and what the Fremen are up to.
Upset it.
I would say more the Mahdi, but yes. But we can also control what information he gets as well.
Oh, we're absolutely going to do that.
So,
What else does he want?
just if they're doing something, look the other way, I guess.
Do you purposely obscure like the details? Like, I want to know where the Mahdi is and who his allies are and stuff like that. Are you like purposely being vague to Daphne? This is
No,
important.
no,
Okay.
I'm not. I'm gonna tell her like exactly what they want to hear, just because I know that's going to help me in the long run.
Yeah, so he explains like the syndicate wants intelligence about who the Mahdi is and where the Sieges are and who their allies are and stuff like that.
Especially
Correct.
safety tools like
The Mahdi is the Duke Leto of the Fremen. As Duke Leto is uniting all the houses of the Landsrod, so the Mahdi is uniting all the Sieches and tribes of Arrakis.
Okay.
Does he want to meet with Zoshir?
anything.
I can
Ugh.
arrange that.
I'm sure we could, to be honest with you. And I think that may be your way in to be able to unite with them.
Teams are best.
Not a very good one. At least-
There's going to be some very stringent negotiations before this meeting takes place, but
Oh, 100%.
Do what you can to ingratiate yourself to them, Uncle. Make them owe you favors.
What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
Make them owe you favors.
I can do that. I can do that very well indeed.
All right. So that was revelatory. You take your leave with Anessa to the Atreides
Correct.
palace. Nadim, you return back to Carthag to meet with Daphne, as there's a lot of hustle bustle on the streets and at the palace itself, but they seem to be expecting you. You're a face around here. You're almost a fixture at this point. You meet with where do you hold your court, Daphne, within the palace? Do you choose a specific room or location?
Oh, we are having this meeting on Duke Leto's sufferance, so we shall meet as he dictates.
Oh, you're going with Archibald to Araki.
I don't want him to fuck
Is that
this
what
up.
Do you want to know?
Also, like, Daphne was like, hey, I need to introduce you to someone who's kind of important, Duke Leto. So it feels
okay.
like she's using
You can
her-
perform, yeah, you can perform your introductions and stuff like that, and but like they, Elois would request that you assist with directing the delegates and doing all the other stuff that she needs help with, or getting Amira back, which is actually her top priority.
No, she's on that second one on her own. But so, all right. So Daphne will basically do what would be diplomatically expected of her, to be like, "Hi, Duke. Here's someone has something really important to talk about. Here's my uncle. You've met him. You're besties, right? Great. Bye now."
Yeah, that's the kind of where I figured that would go.
Do all of
Okay.
that without causing offense,
Sure.
and then just like, I gotta go help the other judge of the change. Bye bye.
Yeah, so we leave that with him. You return back to your duties back at the palace. Conky, you're along for the ride. Just as Nadim is allowed back into the palace, you can, hold your meetings in the foyer or the dining room area or wherever you wish.
Me meetings or Daphne meetings?
Daphne meetings
Okay.
with you and the Harkonnen agent, as it were.
Okay.
All right. So this is Conky, Daphne, and Nadim.
Sure, yeah, we're gonna go with
At
that.
this point, Daphne's just slamming spiced coffee.
Yeah, you're like weary at this point. Like you've been nonstop for the last like 24 hours, and it's starting to show. More spiced coffee, ma'am. They pour you another one. They escort Nadim, and Roy's like, and like somebody gives him a cracker. You sit down, and they bring you drinks and all the usual amenities. The floor is yours.
Well, I've been able to reestablish contact with the cartel, the syndicate that attacked you, the Kocheki syndicate.
Good to hear.
I think I have a line on. Well, is it just me, Daphne, and Conky, and whoever other?
That's actually a really good question. Did you want to bring Varys along for this, Daphne?
I don't have a reason not to.
Okay.
So,
He's
yeah.
just kind of like in the background, listening, toying with a dagger.
Okay, and are all these people personally loyal to Daphne, as far as I'm aware?
Yeah, the way that you see Varys conduct himself around her, they're definitely close. They walked in together.
So I have a sensitive matter to discuss with you now that I have reestablished contact with the syndicate.
We're all ears, hear Varys say from the back.
Indeed.
So I believe I have it now within my capability to have this person, Amira, released. Is that something to be done? Um, if
That's
there's some other solution that would be preferred, that could be done as well. Um,
Ferris
Okay.
stifles
or
a
you
laugh.
could simply, or you could leave it with me.
He just giggles.
I'm sorry. I don't like Amira. She killed someone I love.
Well, nothing more needs to be said. I understand.
No.
I like start to get up.
No. You should have this conversation with Lady Eloise Spicere.
I'm sorry?
Lady Eloise, the judge of the change. Amira is her consort. Lady Eloise is the one most invested in Amira's continued well-being.
Most? Only.
I'm not going to cry if Amira dies, but I'm not going to order her death.
Ow.
Understood. Well, I don't have much of a relationship with this person of which you speak.
Oh, no, you probably heard with a meeting with Merlot we were discussing Kyra.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
Kyra is my parent, along with Nassim's parent. Amira killed her.
No, I mean Eloise, this person Eloise. I know we've met, but I've had that much time to have any conversation with them. I believe we have a much more interesting working relationship. I don't think I would have much to gain for bargaining for this person's release with Eloise. But with you, I believe that we have a relationship. So I would much rather work out some kind of deal with you.
Well then. Like I said before, I'm not going to cry if she dies. I'm not going to pay for her release. Eloise has considerable resources and considerable motivation to see Amira released.
If you'll allow me to intercept for just a second. Yeah, when someone is assigned as a judge of the change, they actually inherit a tremendous amount of money and resources from the emperor, second only to the emperor himself.
Right.
Like they are like the emissary of the emperor's will, essentially. So she can command quite a good amount of resources if money is what you're after.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I just want to get Daphne to say no to me right now.
Yeah, Daphne's saying, like, I'm not going to give you shit for Amira, go talk to Eloise.
It's important to me for when I go to negotiate with Eloise that Daphne and I have this conversation.
Yeah, and that way you can be like, I went to Daphne first. She said
you
no.
said no.
And that's gonna be good.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well, so Daphne will say, I have no intention of spending any of the resources of House Cheshire on Amira's release. However, my aunt commands far more resources and is far more motivated to see Amira free. You should be having this conversation with her.
I shall have that conversation. I understand completely. I've had these kind of conversations within my own family as well. So this is definitely a conversation I've had before.
I'm not surprised.
Indeed. I knew we would get along very well.
I'm sure. Is there anything else that you've managed to learn? It's been just a few hours, so I assume.
Well, they seem convinced of the ruse. And we are going to continue to look into the matter of face dancers within the organization, but I believe I will be in charge of that.
I
So that
will
would
make
be-
sure you're informed if there's anything that I learn that I think you should know.
Yes. I think the only other thing I would say, Lady Daphne, for free, is I think you play a rather dangerous game with the Bene Talax. These face dancers, these religious face dancers, who say that they are free and no longer controlled by their masters, are likely deluded. Their programming is very likely to come online once again, and they shall find themselves still on the leash of their masters, though they may think themselves free at the moment. These are not people, though they may look like people.
Is
So,
freedom commonly referred to as an illusion to the Harkonnens? This is Varys in the back.
Well, I do not judge people simply on their blood or what house they were born into. But I do judge things that were created in a vat and that are programmed with chemicals to obey their masters.
It's a shame you never met Kyra. If you had just a few minutes to talk to her, I think you'd understand.
Well, I simply say that I believe we get along and that I think we make marvelous allies. I enjoy having friends. I shall call you my friend.
have worked
So
with
I would not
Rogue.
wish to see you come to a bitter end. And I feel that those who deal with machines, whether they may be made of flesh or metal, come to despicable ends.
I appreciate the advice and the spirit in which it is offered. I've had dealings with face dancers with the Bene Lilacs before. It has never turned out the way I expected. However, tremendous things are happening on Arrakis right now. And I want to see what I can do to live up to my legacy, my ancestry.
Well, I hope I can help with that. If there's one thing I'd rather not have is a war, especially a large one. And I feel that that is where we're headed. This Duke Atreides is going to be causing some very bad business. And I'd rather not my family and his get into a tussle or that Arrakis be caught in the middle of such a thing. I do not consider myself a peaceful person, but in this circumstance, I'd rather not find myself alone in the middle of a war. So I feel that we are aligned in that goal.
I think we can agree on that. I think we all want... Well, I want a peaceful and free Arrakis.
Yes, I also wish a peaceful Arrakis.
And free.
If you can manage the freedom, then that would be wonderful.
Oh, that won't be me managing it, but I'll be helping as much as I can.
Oh, there's a path for that.
Yes. Well, there are many ways to do it. My my cousin Raban never really seemed to get the hang of it. Perhaps you'll have better luck.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a productive meeting. Is your next agenda to meet with the judge of the change herself, Alice Cheshire?
Oh, at her earliest convenience, no rush.
Oh, well, at this point, everything is happening all at once to poor Eloise, and you actually see her in the halls as you're making your way back to the guest quarters. You see her, and she is not very good at hiding how exasperated she is right now, which seems like the perfect time to reintroduce yourself to her.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was hoping we could wait a few days before I brought it up again, but sure.
Well, she's going to be leaving soon. You know that,
right.
Because she's supposed to be mediating peace talks with on board a Hayliner. That much you were privy to in the last meeting. So you know that she's on the cusp of leaving Arrakis to hold this diplomatic summit, and there's already a tremendous amount of high tension around all of that. So it's this is probably at her most vulnerable right now.
Oh, perfect. So, and she is Lady Eloise?
Yeah, she's technically
title?
the lady of her own house, a nascent house.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know if her title was just the judge or if she was a household. But yes, I shall approach Lady Eloise.
Very good. She is obviously exasperated. She has no idea where you've been for the last week or so. So she kind of gives you this look like, what do you? And then she actually mouths the words. She's like, "What do you want?" And that's where we'll stop for right now. Is all the time that we have for this week, but we will continue the machinations of the Imperium next week.
It's a
The
good
same,
question for the judge to ask because I suspect she'll be giving it to me.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, let's go around the virtual tabletop one final time to reintroduce our wonderful cast, beginning with Leo. Let them know who you are and what you're doing online.
Hello. My name is Leo. You can find me here at Leo the Black, and today I played Archibald, the guy that's willing to get his hands dirty to fix shit. That's literally what he is.
And make things more complicated. Hooray! Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Devin.
Hello, one and all. I have been not Norma, Kanki Sen, the escort of, how shall we say, ambiguous origins. You can find me here next week to continue playing this role on this wonderful game of Dune.
Moon.
Well, I'm Khaldun Khalil. Everyone calls me Moon. I write games and including Dune. Hey, what do you know? Work on the RPG. You can find me on Twitter mostly at @KKhalil, KKHELIL, and drive through RPG and things like that. I was playing Nadim Harkonnen, the sanest mentat.
Totally. Last but not least, of course, Rachel.
Hello, this was amazing. I've been looking forward to this all week. Yes, I am Rachel. I'm Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere, which you probably knew already because you're here, either on the Twitch or on the YouTube, both called Stolen Fires. You can also find me less and less on the Burning Bird app, more and more on Blue Sky these days. Just talking about games, promoting good stuff. We've got a couple games being planned. Fringeworthy should be back in February. And yesterday we also debuted our new show, The Between, a glimpse of Gossamer. Hooray! It uses The Between, a carved from Brindlewood game, Victorian monster hunting and/or fucking. I don't know.
Well, that sounds fun.
I get to play a Selkie, so I'm happy. Apparently, I
Catch him and find out, I guess.
I have ended up the cinnamon roll for this game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that airs on Thursdays at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. I don't know what that is in your time zone.
7, 8, or 9.
We have watchers in Britain. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what happens next week. Thank you all for watching. And then also, to bookend what Eric said, I'm just going to post the link for the USCPR, the United States Council on Palestinian Rights, because the International Court of Justice is doing something, not as much as they could, but anyway, there's a lot still to be done. Please bully your Congress critter, make them do something. It's an election year.
Yeah, and I've been Eric at Maroon Recluse Online. You can find me here Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big thanks to our viewers and fans for tuning in. And again, please head over to uscpr.org. They need their help very much right now. Educate, organize, and advocate for Palestinians today. As always, bless the Maker and his water, bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world, and may he keep the world for his people. Good night, everyone.